Bring our November 20th work session to order. We'll see if a couple more people show up while we're going, but that's all right. So Kyle, take it away there, boss.
Yeah, let me make sure I have all of these settings correct. Oh, yep. That move, it makes it really hard to explain. It did record. Yes, so the county board expanded the fair board to 7 members. We have everybody, well, we have 4 of the new members here tonight. I know it'd be ideal if everyone's here, so I look at this at once, but I was gonna kind of start off with giving you guys 15 minutes to kind of introduce yourselves to each other, and then I can kind of give you a rundown on how these meetings typically go. About the time that I started, the fair board had made a decision, instead of just having our regular meetings and discussing everything during the regular meetings, to go to having this work session / regular meeting format. So what we have now is basically a 1-hour work session before the meeting where we're kind of discussing and chatting about all the things. That way, once we get to the formal regular meeting part of the agenda, then we're able to just take action on the business. So just kind of to chuck and out, use these work sessions as an opportunity for us to do. So they're usually on the first Tuesdays of every month. That's kind of what's been laid out in the charter. And but then we'll also schedule routine for special meetings from time to time. As the work and stuff, and it could be fair.
Yeah, it's been really nice if we changed it to have that work session before, so we can kind of informally talk and discuss things a little more freely, and the public gets to comment a little more than they would in an actual meeting style. So it's better for me for sure.
Yeah,
how I like to do things.
The way I understand it is before, like, these meetings were unproductive and very short, and they were each 20 minutes longer. I don't know if we've had a meeting that's been less than 2 hours. I'm happy with trying to shorten up those regular session part of the meetings. And that's a big part of us doing these work sessions instead of when we get to that regular meeting. So I think maybe we just take the first part of this, and I try to kind of set some times for how long it takes every part of this work session, so we can kind of keep on track. But we'll just take 15 minutes here at the beginning and do introductions of everybody and ask any questions that you like. Start off, I'm Kyle Sharpstein. I'm the fairgrounds manager. I started here in January of 2023. Prior to that, I worked for the city of Warrenton for about 18 years in their public works department. So I have a pretty long history in facility maintenance and public administration. And that's really kind of the part that really got me in this position. Learned a heck of a lot about event planning and care since then. I think we're really, this January will be 2 years in. I think we're really starting to hit our stride. We're learning about the industry as a whole and trying to standardize this a little bit more to what the industry does, but with also trying to keep our identity as the traditional Clatsop County. Yeah.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kristen Klein. I'm the admin assistant here and started May 2023. Prior to that, I was the event coordinator with the Astoria Warrenton Area Chamber of Commerce. So I have a few events under my belt. Yeah, I've enjoyed being out here and excited to have some new faces on the fair board. So thanks for your involvement and your commitment, and looking forward to working with you.
And she's a wicked good artist.
I don't know if you want to start, Matt, or if you just want to go around.
I would just start with Joel. That'd be this time.
Stand up. I'm Joel Homelack, small business owner. Plan on having kids in the near future and want to be part of the community. And I think I have stuff to offer.
Bruce Smith, small business owner, long time. That's county resident. There's 4 boys here. They're all elsewhere. But I had some time and I it just feels like a place I should be. That's it.
Mary Jo Gregoire. I consider myself semi-retired, but I still do a lot of independent consulting, mostly remotely, supporting mostly technology teams, either strategic planning, project management processes, or any other things that kind of come up. Filled in as chief of staff in a couple areas as well. Excited to be on the board, and I'm really excited about the opportunity to, be an active member of a team and seeing what we can do to contribute, not just at meetings, but some work that.
My name's Matt Bellingham. I've been born and raised here. Been involved in the Clatsop County Fair since before I was even able to show. Spent a lot of summers up here back in the days when you didn't have child labor laws and stuff, just like meat eating and things, because I had nothing else to do. When Denny Holmes was the manager up here and stuff. So, just I have a passion for the 4-H community predominantly, but this fairgrounds is and really should be the hub of the community. And I'm really excited to see where it's starting to head in the right direction as far as having big events out here and just making it more user friendly. And Kyle and Kristen have done an amazing job on starting to market things and get like processes and procedures down, and like so we're not just shooting from the hip all the time and spend tons of hours getting things transitioned from pencil and paper to electronic like billing and all that kind of stuff. And so I'm really excited to see where this is heading, and I'm excited to be part of it. And I think I've been on the fair board for, I think this is 5 years now. I think that's what it is. I've got a wife and 5 kids and I work at Costco and just try to benefit the community a little bit. So
I am Mallory Lighthizer. I have a full-time job and 3 boys, and I'm on a couple other different boards and have been involved with 4-H since I can remember. And I try to bring kind of South County in. The fairgrounds is, as much as we want it to be a central place, it can serve to be a little difficult being all the way out here, but being able to bring kind of South County up is fun to try to do. So that's what I got.
My name is John Karamanis. I'm work in the pharmacy at Walgreens, but I'm not volunteering. I have a big history of nonprofit work, and when I lived in California years ago, really happy to be here. Particularly excited to be here now. In the last 2 years, I've seen the fairgrounds grow under Kyle's tutelage and everybody and all the work they put into it. And I think that we have a ways to go more, but I think we can all add something. I'm really excited to see the board been expanded with everybody, and I'm just happy to be here. Live in Miles Crossing, and let's go.
I'm Elise Bigelow. Mom, I have 3 kids. I'm an office admin. My husband's transportation, but he has a trucking business. And I teach middle school at Anchor Christian Academy. I'm also a 4-H leader. Go 4-H. I was never involved in 4-H, but my kids definitely have dove into that. I really enjoy it. I guess Warrenton, I would like to, my purpose is to see this be utilized more in the Clatsop County Fair, be really a staple in the community. Fair event.
Yeah.
Thank you all for coming. I really appreciate everybody here, and my job here is to support you guys in your job, and maybe vice versa. So if you guys have any questions or anything, anytime, give me a call and we can chat through stuff. And you want to take time to have more meetings, individual one-on-one, or if there's other group meetings we want to do to get you guys up to speed, happy to do that. I have several other things I kind of want to chat on during this first part, but normally during our work session, we wouldn't involve the audience, but these ladies are all kind of a big part of the fairs. I don't know if you guys want to say something a little bit yourselves, or just, I can do an introduction.
We're all pretty much here for 4-H.
Yeah. So, yeah, the back row is all with OSU Extension, Sandra, Julie, and Lori. And then Faith is with the 4-H Association, and so, they're kind of two separate organizations, if you aren't aware, like the OSU Extension is kind of the mothership of 4-H, and then the 4-H Association is kind of the local fundraising arm of the 4-H program here in Clatsop County. Or did I say that right?
You did a great job.
So a couple of other names, I suppose. Courtney Bangs is on the County Board of Commission. She is the liaison from the county board to the fair board. She's down at the Association of Oregon Counties. That's the annual conference for basically all of the counties in the state, like our fairs convention. So she wasn't able to make it here tonight, but she tries to attend or at least watch our meetings afterwards. Don Boone, county manager, he's, I guess, on paper, technically my supervisor, but in practice, Monica Steele is the assistant county manager. And she's basically who I direct report to for personnel issues. Don's role is primarily to manage the county commission, and Monica's role is to manage the staff and the services in the county. And then Anthony Pope is the county council, and he is a resource for us. He is able to help you all individually with any particular questions you have, or as a group, I can work back and forth between them. But basically, every contract and every agreement that you guys make with somebody, he will review and make sure that it meets all of the agreements and all that. And the templates and stuff is all based off of stuff that he's pre-approved. And then he will also work with you all to do some training. There's a standard committee board training that he'll come and present to you all, and then if you have any questions on, how to run meetings and governance and public records and any of that stuff, he's a resource for you. He's basically our legal counsel. It's available for us at any time. Yes, so I have provided all new members with that sheet that's got login credentials for a Gmail account, and I will use that to communicate with you guys all for all of the agenda items and discussions back and forth. So that'll keep all of your records clean out of your personal emails, but it also serves as a public records kind of depository for you all. You guys are all public officials. This is public money. Everything is subject to public meetings and public record laws for the stuff that we do. So it's a good, hopefully we don't get into a position where people are wanting to do public records in place for us, but anybody could at any given time.
Yeah.
And I can help you all set that up if you need to. I try to get these packets out enough in advance. I know a week in advance would be ideal. Sometimes it's a few days in advance, but my true goal is to try to get these to you like the Wednesday prior. I'm not sure if that's actually ever happened. It's usually Thursday or Friday because things tend to still come together here as we're leading up to it, which is why there's a couple of additional documents that aren't in the packet, but I think because that stuff has kind of materialized since then. I will be working on like a whole binder for you guys that has a lot of information on how this place runs. There's so much information, it's gonna take months for us before we get all up to speed, but there's a state law that gives you guys authority that's important to know. There's a memorandum of understanding between the fair board and the county that is important for you all to know. And then there's just lots of other stuff like this vendor handbook, agreements with the 4-H and 4-H Association. It was just a whole huge list of items that would be helpful for you guys to know. And then there's a lot of other little nuances that will come along as we go. I don't really have like a operating manual for how we do it, but, we've been trying to incorporate more like technology solutions. Like we're using an event planning software that's been helping us track all our vendor registrations and exhibitors and stuff like that. That's helped, across the board, streamline the things that we're doing. We're trying out an email marketing platform right now that integrates with our ticketing software. So there's a lot of moving parts to what's going on out here. I didn't realize how busy it was when I took the job. And every day it's more and more, there's like, holy cow, there's a lot out here on any given day. I'm happy you guys need time to talk about those things. As far as how the meetings go, we'll roll in with this work session typically. Ideally, I'm getting some feedback from you all about what you want to see in these agendas and to be working on. I mean, I have a pretty good idea of the things that I need you guys to be working on. But if there's particular things that you want, then we can talk about that and get them on the agenda. We try to spend a little time at the beginning of each one talking about the future agendas. And then spend the rest of the work session taking care of business. And then we roll into the regular meeting, all this out, roll call, we'll do an agenda approval, we'll open the door for the meeting for the public to comment on anything. Consent calendar would be like, we've already discussed these items and just basically need you guys to vote yes or no on it or ask any questions. It's basically like a contract approval type thing, the minutes. You all will have some time to report on the committees or things that you're working on as assigned. I'll give a report of the things I've been working on. And then we tackle the business. There's 4 items on the agenda tonight, and there's a 5th that would like to be added to the agenda once we get started. And then good of the order at the end is just kind of an opportunity for you guys to provide some comment about things that aren't necessarily on the agenda, but they should be more things like how you think we could all work together as a team, or things that you think we could be doing as an organization to improve. It really shouldn't be like a complaint or that type of session. It should be something positive, like how can we improve this and move forward. Yeah. Does anybody have any questions?
I would encourage you guys to get online on the county website and read those memorandums of understanding and read our bylaws, which is pretty short. I think at one point we need to review those, but and then get online also and review the statute that governs what we're supposed to be doing here. It's like kind of the purpose of the fair board. Get on there and just kind of look those things up, see what they're about, see what we're supposed to be doing. Gives you a little more clear idea of the direction that this thing is actually supposed to be for. So it's just 2 cents there.
Yeah. Yeah, the ORS 565 and the MOU are on the county's website.
Yeah.
And I can show you guys a little here. It's a little funky how some of the county website is
More than a little.
organized.
It was hard to find. Have them.
So you have this governments tab. This governments tab, and you have.
Up a little bit, down.
Yeah,
Right.
lots of county fair boards. And then you also have this departments tab that's county fair and fair and expo. So there's 3 different things to go. One of these takes you to our website, which is completely separate. We have like a marketing website that's for the fairgrounds. Which is this one. And we try to keep the upcoming events here, and this is where we link people to when we want to sell the tickets and more of the what's happening at the fairgrounds. This other tab, this is more of the business side of you guys as a board. This is rental requests. All of the documents that are on this page, so like if there's a document that's on here, like few available facilities, these are all actually stored on the county's website. This is just a link to the other one. Where it's stored. It's kind of a little funky. Ideally, we would have a page on the county's website that just has all this information. This is what we had when we started, so we're kind of working on it. So this is for the fair, and then the other one is for the fair board, which has the stuff you all are interested in. Which we'll get this updated with y'all's terms and things, but the bylaws, the memorandum of understanding, and the 565 are all listed right there. And I say we, but it's really Kristen and Andrew at the county, can edit this. We can do anything we want with this page. We just need to have a vision for what all we want. Yeah. Okay. That was a big mouthful of introduction. I know there's a lot of, like I said, a lot of information on the budget. I think getting a list of the other fairs and the dates of the other fairs would be good. But there's just a ton of info. So yeah, the next item is the events and rolling calendar. So look in here, you have this page. These are all of the events that are on our schedule for the next 3 months. And so we try to touch in with you guys on what's coming up in the pipeline. The rest of November, it's really just like a lot of private events. But then once we roll into December, it's getting a little bit busy again. There's a bazaar that will be in here. It's a craft bazaar. This is going to be filled with vendors and tables. The Army's gonna do another training out in the lot. They're gonna do their beach contamination training. But probably the most exciting one is on December 14th. There's a flat track motorcycle race, and that's it's a rental. So this group is renting the building from us, but we're trying to partner with them. It's his first time doing this. We want him to be successful, and maybe we can turn it into a reoccurring thing. The New Year or the wishing tree fruit and toy drive is something that the board has donated the space to that program for them to do this gift and toy drive. And at the time, there was some interest from the board about volunteering. And if you all are interested in helping and being part of that, I can send you the registration to participate along with that. We're essentially a co-sponsor of that event, because we let them use the space free charge. And then this other one's interesting. I'm not sure if it's what I think it is, but Night Out Company Party. I'm uncertain if that's the party that they're moving out here or if this is a separate party. So I need to have a little bit more conversation with him. He said, I want to rent the space for a company party.
So
Hopefully we can make it a tradition. And that's kind of what got a buzz in my ear. Maybe he wants to move out here.
yeah, typically that's gonna be it's usually at the Elks, and that's their Christmas party is moving out here.
Okay, not the.
It's not the
the
oyster,
crab party.
yeah, not the oyster feed.
Gotcha.
That's my understanding.
That's mine as well.
Yeah.
And then Cornelio Gonzalez is a local Hispanic promoter who's collaborated with us several times. He's the one that's done the Mexican rodeos out here. He's done a couple of other dance parties. He rented the space for New Year's Eve, and he's gonna have a New Year's Eve party here. Yeah, that's the big ones for the next month. There's some other stuff further out. If you have any questions on this? There's a lot happening, and this is the slow time.
Yeah.
This next sheet is kind of a rotating calendar, and this is us trying to forecast out what our meetings are going to look like. So I really only have stuff for this meeting and then this meeting in December. There's a lot going on. Then we can't get to everything tonight because we postponed the November meeting. We didn't have a full board. But then starting the first of the year, I would really like to start talking budget with you guys, getting an understanding of what our current budget looks like and starting to plan our future budget, because that really depends a lot what our fair looks like. So this meeting, you kind of have seen the stuff because it was in the agenda. Next meeting, we have this roof building assessment. We have a consultant right now that has come out and done a site assessment on the building because we got a $277,000 grant from the state of Oregon to use on capital projects, and we chose to use it to repair our roof. And so this consultant is coming up with the appropriate repair and the bid documents and all of that for us to do it. I talked to him late last week. He says they pretty much got it. They're in draft and in draft review, and we should expect to see something soon. Ideally, this project's done before the end of June, as far as the construction. It's coming along. One of the requirements from the MOU is to do a strategic plan, and so we need to get a facilitator to help us with that. I'll be working on an RFP draft for you guys to review. So we'll come up with what that request for proposals looks like, and then look for a consultant to help us navigate that project. This levy measure, that the fairgrounds is unique in Oregon in that we're the only fairgrounds in the entire state that has an operating levy. So we have a tax of, I believe it's 6 cents per thousand that we have to renew every 5 years, and it expires next year. And so we will need to get this on the May ballot in order for the community to move on this tax measure. So I had a conversation with Tracy, the clerk, earlier this week about what we need to do to move forward. I told her I had been trying to give her a little bit of space while she was navigating the election, but as soon as, now that the election's over, I contacted her and trying to get the ball moving. She says, really just apply. We'll need to work with the tax assessor's office if they have to update that schedule based off of the current property values. And then we'll work on the language for the measures, as it's like 120 words. And we'll want to say, you know, what we did with the money the last time and what we plan to do with the money next time. Get that out front. Land use, there's a lot of discussion about floodplains and wetlands. And the board has interest in doing a project in the lower field. And so there's some urgency on us taking on a project sooner than later because there's new rules that are going to be coming in that could severely limit us from what we were wanting to use. Gail came out in October and had a discussion and kind of put these deadlines on us and said, you know, basically November 13th is these hard deadlines the county's going to moratorium. Well, that conversation has changed probably 8 times since we met with her, and the county board, I think I have this as an agenda. So I'll talk about that a little bit more then, but Gail will come back out at the next meeting and talk with you guys. Gail is the county community development director, so she's basically the head of the planning department for the county. If you guys would like to talk about a spring event, last year we did the Fleetwood Mac concert, Fleetwood Mac tribute concert. If we want to do another event in the spring, we need to decide what that is and start planning it. And we need to get the fair thing. So if you guys have other stuff you want to discuss in December, let me know, or things further down.
If you're gonna talk about a spring event, are you gonna be able to share how successful or what challenges you had in the last one? Not
Yeah.
necessarily now, but for the.
Yeah, I think that'd be something.
Could be a work session item for next month.
Yeah, and yeah, we'll tackle that next week, but if you guys have any ideas of whether it's so there's 2 thoughts though, if you want to kind of be thinking about it between now and then. One is doing something in the arena on the dirt floor prior to like mid-April. There's only a couple of days, maybe late March, that we could do something in there. After that mid-April, we put that floor down, and then the floor is down through June. And so it's either an event that's on the dirt floor in March or an event that's on the hard floor sometime in between Craft Fest and Standing Investment, which is when we did the Fleetwood Mac concert in there on the floor last year. Okay. And that's said, ideally, we're planned out 6 months on this, on what we want to work on, and this is just a way for us to get all organized and on paper. How are we doing on time?
You'll get
are
half hour.
5 minutes behind, that's not too bad. This next one is committees. So last year, these two sheets that we have here are the committees that we tried to form last year. We kind of did some committee work, but it didn't really go as planned. We were all really busy last year. There was a lot of personal circumstances that had come up with the board last year that made it challenging. And then another thing that was actually pretty challenging, with only 5 members, you couldn't have more than 2 people on any particular board or any particular committee, and then we also had like 7 or 8 committees, so, multiple people had to be on multiple committees. Having an expanded board is actually probably one of the biggest benefits for this. And so this is the work session item for you to look at these and see if these are the committees that we want to have and be thinking about them. And then hopefully next meeting, we can come back and you guys can sign up or be appointed to these various committees and we can hit the ground and start getting this very good plan. We do have some things that are already kind of certain, like we have, our band, we've got an agreement with Rodney Atkins for our concert.
Did we ever get that back in writing?
Yeah, and I was gonna give that to you in the report, but we got the contract last Monday.
Nice.
So that locks us in for, that's the date of our concert. There is some discussion we need to have about, the numbers of days of the fair, which we'll discuss after this item, but, these are the categories that we, as a team, really need support from you guys to plan the fair and, really, when it comes down to it, this is what makes this your guys' fair. That's kind of your main goal is to plan the fair. We take care of all of the other, rodeo, not with rodeo, but like the rentals with the dirt track and crab fest and, all of those things. But this is really where you guys get to take your job and make the fair happen. So we have a concert committee and advertising, marketing, vendors, sponsorship, security, emergency response, parking, open class, which that one's on here, but we have a superintendent that really tackles that for us. But if somebody from the board wanted to, collaborate with her and kind of be a liaison with her, would be great. Volunteers and then non-music. And we can mix these up, we can combine them. Last year we combined several of these, but with more people, maybe we can keep them a little bit separate. I know one of the things I kind of wanted to point out was that what you don't see on here is a 4-H board or an auction committee board. And those two pieces are really turnkey. Those groups take care of those portions of our fair. And we really don't have much input on what happens with those programs. We'll need to coordinate with them so that we're not conflicting with some of the stuff they have. But as far as your guys' roles and what we need as staff and support for you, I was working on these pieces that we can make the fair happen. I don't know if you guys have any input on any of that. There's like a spreadsheet that's really kind of what I use to track who's been signed up, but this sheet here is more of a general description of what the sections are. There's a lot for, a lot of new people to soak in. So we don't have to make any decisions tonight, but just really just kind of getting the thoughts and tracking them.
We put our names on, I don't want this one.
Yeah.
These are exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if you guys want to have any discussion about these things amongst yourselves, or you want to just think about them and talk about it a little bit more the next week.
I think if everyone would be able to take them home and just kind of figure out what they would want to do, and then we can come back in our work session and kind of discuss that with you, that idea.
And if any of you all have any particular questions about what that kind of looks like between now and then, and you want to call and chat with me about it, I can talk through it.
We should pick our top 3 or something.
Yeah, probably just, top 3, kind of what you would feel comfortable and confident in, and then.
And then Joel will do the rest of it.
I already went through this, I already know what I wanted.
Yeah, I know what I want, I just don't know.
The fireworks show. I want to do
Yeah.
that. Sorry, I didn't mean to never introduce you. Apologize. How are we doing? I think maybe we got back on track. So yeah, land use schema buy-off update. As I mentioned when we were talking about the rolling calendar, board decided that they would like to do basically they'd like to build a rodeo grounds in the lower field. We'd love to be able, the conversation has really started with, there was a demolition derby out in the, few years back, we talked about trying to do it again. We were looking for a contractor to do some excavation. And they said, well, can we work out there? And I think that's a wetland. I said, okay, question, let me call it. So they looked through it, said, yes, it's a wetland, but one of your bigger challenges is in your conditions of approval, you have a condition that says motorized racing will be held in. So then we started going down this process. How can we change this? We want to be able to do motorsport events and rodeo events. So we have a challenge with getting that language changed. I think we can do it. It's really gonna depend on the neighborhood. The neighbors are really adamantly against it, and the county board says no, because they would have to come from that. But they've said they're supportive of that, we just kind of have. But then now, since we were talking about all that discussion on what that would take, this whole FEMA buyout, wetland, floodplain situation has materialized, which basically says if it's a floodplain, you can't develop in it, or you have to do a habitat assessment, or you have to make up for lost storage, you have to raise it above base flood elevation. There's all kinds of issues that could be a problem if and when those new requirements come in. So we talked about how can we hurry up and get a project knowing that would get us grandfathered. And there was this deadline of November 30th. And every day between the county and the state and the feds, there's understanding of what that might change. The way I understand it at this point is the county has decided basically to do nothing and has said that they will notify the state that their plan is to develop a model ordinance, but they're not going to go through the moratorium. And the way I currently understand it is they would have until like July 1st. And they're going to issue floodplain permits as they have been, as not. Up until that changes. But even then, there's still so much uncertainty with the new federal administration. It totally everything. There may be no floodplain. And so Gail's gonna come back and have a little bit more conversation about, our steps to take, and we have a little bit more time now. We had a lot of discussion about building a rodeo ground and having a permanent structure, but it's still not really clear on when we want to build. So we need to figure that. We need to figure out exactly what we're talking about. We'll need to probably get a consent about. There's flood elevations that need to be established. That's gonna require some surveying. We're gonna have to figure out exactly how much fill, because if we look down there right now, there's probably 8 inches of water. It's gotta be at least 8 inches higher than what it is right now. But there's probably a better number for the concern. But what we really need to know is what is the dimensions, how are we gonna access it, what buildings are we going to build? Sit down and put those on paper. So that we can explain that. Right now, it's just want to build something that's gonna get us. It's gonna be a little bit. So I think that's probably one of these things where we need to schedule some more time. we actually sit down and talk about, like, on with a drawing of what we want to see, and then if we want to hire a consultant. One of the other issues that between meeting with Gail and sitting down and trying to figure out what it's gonna take to get this floodplain permit issued is in the MOU with the county. There's two things. One says capital improvements will be in a plan, basically coordinated with the county board. So the county owns the property. And so if you all are wanting to make a $2 million improvement or even a $200,000 improvement on the county's property, I think that's the intent of what that requirement is, that there'll be some communication about it before you just do it. The other is any environmental permits. It says that we'll have county board approval. So before we can even apply for the floodplain permit, we need to have some kind of presentation to the county board to make that happen. So we need to know, we need to have a little bit more organized that this is what we want, take to the county, say, we want to go for this, and then take it to the planning department and make our application. And so we bought time. If that's what we want to do, we need to get on it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a mid-December or something we want to work on, or if we to redo our rolling calendar and just say that's what we're gonna do next on December 3rd and chat through it, or a majority of the time for it. You guys have to decide what you.
I have a question.
Yeah.
And you didn't choose where the concert is for a rodeo space because,
I think one of the main reasons, and maybe I can let Matt and Mallory have some input on this as well, but that's a space that we're not using for anything, and we would like to take advantage of it. I mean, it's an open ground. That may ultimately be the only opportunity we have if we let all of this stuff come in.
And building a permanent structure up there is kind of eliminating that natural amphitheater that we
yeah,
already
no, I
have.
agree, it's a great
So,
space, yeah. We used to have land in a place in Jewel, I just know how complex it is when
Yeah.
it comes to, or even getting someone that actually could do that survey work was almost impossible to get them on the schedule.
Right, and I think we can come up with a good concept plan ourselves. It's a really rough sketch and maybe some photos of similar facilities, but as far as like the actual formal documents that we need, I think we do need somebody that's an expert. I'm not an expert in floodplain development.
Yeah.
What all of those permit requirements are.
And is the expectation that you have to have approval by July, whatever that date is, or you actually have to have it started?
It's unclear. And this, maybe Gail can help us with it. These are good questions to be thinking about for when Gail does come. My understanding, what it was we just needed to apply before the deadline, and then we needed to start construction before July 1st. Now we need to apply by July 1st, but how complete does the application need to be? There was some discussion before that you just needed to apply your application. It could be incomplete, but you had your application and then you had some time to complete your application. And then it went to, no, it has to be a fully complete application to, no, we're gonna continue as well. So it's been shifting by the day. They don't know. She explained it pretty well when it was here. Basically, they knew that something was coming, but it had like a 2028 day. And then all of a sudden out of the blue, FEMA came in and said, nope, today's the day, you need to go pre-implementation measures. And so the county and basically the entire state now has been scrambling with this issue. July, and they made this surprise announcement.
Okay. Do we have a contact with FEMA? And the reason I bring that up is I bought a tough shed. I didn't install it. I had it until last November, and FEMA came in separate from state, city, and county. My tough shed's 4 feet off the ground. Because FEMA established, I'm gonna get this wrong, but it's a mean flood stage and go up 4 feet.
Yeah,
So it occurs to me, whoever's gonna champion this, FEMA trumps everybody.
yeah.
And a tough shed got on my side, we got lawyers, and my tough shed is 4 feet in the air.
I don't personally have contacts with them, but Gail does.
So I was told that that's national as of last November. Had I known, I would have built it before last November.
Right.
I didn't know. So I'm just saying. FEMA appears to be,
Yeah, and I'm not sure what they have to do with
Right.
development. I'm pretty frustrated with it myself. What I think I know is that if it comes in and we would have to build to the same base flood elevations, it would be higher than what our levy is out there.
Yeah.
yeah, it's something about flood stage or something, and then
Like a foot above that. or something.
Seaside, they established at 16 feet above sea level. My property's 12 feet above sea level. Sea level, therefore, all new construction, I gotta go up, which I did, but.
I know.
We got mine.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be different all over, and so
Right.
I think what we need to establish basically at this point is, can we do it in that time frame to make something happen by fair?
Yeah.
Because that's where we need to then either push the gas or kind of focus on other things, and so is it something we wanna try to do? If it is, then we need to do a special meeting and like figure out steps A through Z that we need to take.
Yeah, and I think what we really need to focus on in a meeting is actually sitting down and saying. With a piece of paper and a drawing and say, we want the arena to be here, we want a road to come here, we need another road here, we want. Bleachers or seating for this many people, the building here, you know, those are the questions that we need to have so that we can go in and be able to say. What do we need to do in order to do this? Because at this
Right.
point, it was, we want to build a rodeo ground and if there's a permanent structure. We can build it and anchor it, but what does that mean?
Okay,
I think we know 1,800 seats wasn't enough.
Yeah.
for
So-
Proper rodeo.
okay, so do we wanna try to move forward with it? To try to have it?
This is you all's call,
Fair.
but I think it's certainly worth going
Oh, we
for.
won't have it back there.
But
It'd be like getting the process started.
Even have like a temporary,
An active God.
Yeah,
Well, and then if you bring.
unless we guys
Phil,
get a
right?
temporary use permit or something. like that.
It's,
Yeah,
it's
'cause
a
then
good
it's just
conversation. I mean, we could work on
Bleachers.
getting a width of what we would like that to look like. And I think when we're looking at it too, we wanna look like. Can we do a demo derby, you know, drag races, you know, having it so we can do more than just rodeo events. But, having that secondary part of the conversation, yes, we're gonna break ground, we're gonna build the permanent facility. But in the meantime, we're gonna do this temporary facility on the same footing. And we're gonna hold an event at the fair. Maybe it's the groundwork gets done or something by then. We can fill it up and.
Yeah.
So what I've been curious about on this, and it's my first opportunity to ask about it, is obviously it behooves us to do something with that property down there. It's basically into the property. I mean, if we do nothing at all, they might tell us we can't park cars down there, you know? So we should probably do something, but my question is, we only have till July of next year, right? Possibly. So we need to plan for the worst, obviously hope for better, but, so let's say we do want to build a rodeo ground and drag races, and dirt track, taking forward, whatever it is people want to do, right? Like, probably, I don't know how getting money for all this works, probably can't get it all at once. So are we grandfathered in if we do it in phases, like do a 3-phase thing and say, hey, first phase is just to bring the ground up, and if you can parking area, maybe no permanent structure, but temporary structure, so do the rodeo down here or whatever. Are we locked in if we start like, and then we give the whole plan, like, hey, it's 3 phases. First phase will be done by July or whatever, started by July. But it's gonna take 3 years to have enough money to actually do what we wanna do type thing.
That's a fantastic question to
For Gail.
go over with Gail, and what it makes me circle back to is. What are we talking about building and how much is that going to cost? Is it a $600,000 project? Is it a $200,000 project? Is it a $2 million project? I mean, I think I can tell you guys right now, we can't afford a $2 million project.
Yeah.
But we do have a healthy fund. I think we probably have about $500,000. But so a lot of that money was meant for maintenance, and there's a lot of deferred maintenance on this property that needs to be.
Yeah, and that's a whole nother subject to think about too. We've got a facility that's 30 years old or something now. And there's a lot, it's failing in many places. And, you know, if we're gonna go build this new facility that's going to cost our whole bank, you guys all know how much things cost. We aren't gonna be able to build anything for less than $1 million down there after it's all said and done. And so do we want to put all that time in it? I'm all for it, like I really am. I think it would be great. But are we gonna use it enough to justify it, or is it gonna be sitting for 9 months out of the year and just rotting? And should we neglect this facility and things around the grounds around it that we could be improving up here to make up here better. Filling, like getting fill permits and filling, leveling out grounds, so we have more usable space up here, more flat ground. And improving the facility that we have. Like our kitchen is pitiful, you know, it's just a lot that needs attention up here. I'm 100% for doing something down there, but we need to kind of figure out what that's all gonna look like, what the priorities are.
And I know we've been talking about it this whole time since I've been here. That's where this strategic plan really comes
Yeah.
in. Like, we're trying to make this project happen because if we don't do something now, we definitely
We're gonna
won't be
lose
able
it,
to
yeah.
do something.
Yeah.
But it is a little cart before the horse because we could go through with the whole planning process and try to figure out what we want this place to look like. It's tough because you didn't have a strategic plan where you want to build a $3 million facility and never have the funding for it. So that's one of the parts you have to be aware of while you're planning this. What can we actually afford? But
We can look at it potentially, I mean, it's based on your very short time frame. You just look at what's minimal viable product, like what's minimally will get you something,
Yeah.
right?
I like what Joel said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and yeah, just that's
Phase the approach.
brain fart there myself, but that's the other one I have. I think short of seating. I think we could build our rodeo grounds, you know, basically a fence and get the dirt and the footing and some drainage maybe, because it's gonna need something down there.
Yeah.
And like an access path or something for a reasonable price. But once you're starting to talk about, you know, seating for 2,000 people. Session stands and stables and things like that. That's where I think the project really starts to jump in.
Yes.
I don't know what you guys did for seating before when you had events down in those fields. But even with our bleachers, our portable bleachers and that's only like 800 seats in the bleachers.
Well, I have people that got out of the bleachers for the rodeo. I was like, well, I'm saving spots. And I'm like, they're not even here anymore. Anyway.
Yeah.
But we have another, yeah, so I'm curious
So
about a
that
couple
could
of
be
the other.
some of the conversation, maybe it's not building. Maybe it's buying more portable bleachers.
Yeah, so I know we're kind of over time, so if we wanna just table this, we can put it towards either work session or make a special meeting of some sort, but.
Sure, and yeah, this is, I think, I wanted to update you on the parts from Gale. But also knowing like, up to this point and even now, I haven't had enough information that I could really run with and.
Yeah.
Much with, even the last meeting that we had to try to talk about, we spent more talking about. The challenges than we did figuring out what we actually wanted to do. So.
Right.
That's what we need a drawing, we need to say, this is what we wanna do, Gail, this is what we wanna do, what do I have to do to do this?
Yeah.
Okay, do we wanna add that to our work session, or do we wanna try to find a date where we can have a separate meeting for that?
So I think that probably just add it to the work session because we have our next meeting in 2 weeks.
And the third,
Yeah, and then it's December and you know how busy families are during December. So
Yep.
I think next work session would be best.
okay, I'll retool this rolling calendar, and we can bump a couple of things like the strategic plan, I mean, don't want these, like, we can bump that, we could probably bump. The levy stuff, and I can continue to work on that, but I'll look at how the timing is for the meeting. Or we can start the meeting earlier, I don't know if you guys have the ability to start at 4:30 instead of 5.
5 o'clock's tough enough for me.
And then Gail would likely be here also.
Yeah. We got about 6 minutes here, Kyle.
Yeah, I think we can probably table the convention updates, and I can talk to you about that later, but essentially Chris and I both just went to the Oregon Fair. To be honest with you, I haven't even had enough time to really debrief on the roads, because we went to convention, came back, and we've basically been in rodeo mode ever since. And then I went to the NICA convention as well, it's the National Concessionaires, and again, same story, I have not really been able to debrief on that. I think it would be better for us to spend the remaining time talking about the rodeo while that's still fresh in our mind. And so I'll just give you a couple of quick notes that I have. Our total expenses were 44,161. Our total revenue was 64,913 for a net 20,751. But that's That's fantastic.
What was our gross?
20 Gs.
64,913.
Okay.
I can wanna point out the biggest thing that made this event a success was the sponsorships, and this is 100% Mallory. 21,400 in sponsorship.
So
And so
our profit.
we would have been in the red without that sponsorship. We would not have been able to cover the event if we hadn't achieved that sponsorship goal. We would have lost money. There is still a caveat to this. That number may be slightly lower than the net, because there was $3,980 in ticketing fees. We only paid the ticketing fees on site, so if somebody bought a ticket here with a credit card, we ate the fees. But if they bought the tickets online, they paid the ticketing fees, so I don't know what percentage of that 3,980 in ticket fees we had to eat. But we'll get that number at some point.
Yeah.
A big thing to know, we had $800 in vendor fees, which we just did flat rates, but talking to all of the vendors, they all did better there than they did on the day at the fair, besides maybe at the concert. They did really well. But we just charged them a flat rate because we didn't know if we were gonna sell 600 tickets or 1,800 tickets. We sold $15,553 in alcohol.
How much?
$15,553.
It's not surprising at all.
35% of that, so
Yeah.
we made $5,443 on alcohol sales. So I think, the feedback I've heard besides, it being crowded and some of the view and maybe some long food lines. Was that everybody had a really great time, and I think it was great that we had an event that we were actually profitable on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
From that, I don't know, Mallory, do you have anything else you wanna add? Cause you spearheaded a lot of that.
No, I think it was a ton of fun. I think the sponsors getting back to me before the even show started. I mean, it was 6 o'clock and a lot of the sponsors were already reaching out to me saying they want to be sponsors again for next year. So I think that speaks volumes to how it went, and that's exciting. I do have thank you cards, and Kristen, I have a stack of checks and a couple of things that I need to bring you, and I totally left them on my desk as I was rushing out the door. But I also have thank you cards for each of the sponsors that I was gonna bring tonight and have everyone sign, but I did not grab those either. So I personally have reached out to each of them, but I just think something in the mail is nice too. So
Yeah.
those will probably go out, and I'll just write the fair board on them and get those out this week. So
Do you get community input, feedback?
We haven't done a survey on this. We can. We've got feedback from the vendors, because we asked them to provide like a sales report and something that was in their contract that they provide us. I think a lot of them, based off of what I saw, I don't know, did you do? I think they did better than they do at a similar event. It seemed like they were more profitable and had a better turnout than they did at other events. As
I
far
was
as
kind
the
of curious from a
comments-
safety perspective, if there's a concept of maybe some changes potentially next year.
Yeah. I think there's like, said, it was our first radio. It was, we can't say it was.
Like when we left, someone had just driven straight.
yeah, that was I actually know who that was, and that was not a safety thing. That was that was a him problem.
Okay.
Yeah, having some sheriff's officers.
And it was not
here,
alcohol related.
Oh, okay.
So.
Okay.
having some
It's
sheriff's
diabetic
officers here
related.
Would be
Okay.
great. I think that's
Yeah.
a conversation that I wanna have with the sheriff's department.
Yeah.
We do provide them a lot of.
And do you have an
Training.
ambulance? Was there an ambulance?
There was.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cause we didn't, my husband and I didn't drink, but I was like worried people were gonna fall on us, on the bleachers, cause with bleachers and drunk people, that was the only thing I was like, I
Yeah.
didn't see any of us, I was good. I
With
figured
a-
there was one here.
With an
but-
event like that, when people are
I figured
live
that, yeah.
animals and
Yeah.
stuff, we have to have a access.
Well, yeah, that's true.
I think a couple of things related to that, we have 1,800 capacity, what we went with, because that's what our bleachers are rated at.
Oh.
But I think probably more people got in than we said tickets were. I don't know if that was more than 1,800 or not, but I think we would definitely scale down our capacity if we did it again. Maybe it's 1,500
Yeah,
instead of
1,500.
1,800. And then if we do have more space and people, we would be turning people away. We can let them in if there's more space.
Yeah.
It got to the
We're
point
only
where it
half
was
empty,
like-
half full during the show, because everybody was down below. That's why I was kind of surprised about that.
You know, the pre-show was fantastic. I think we had really great turnout for that, but that also became its own, you know, victim of its own success. Well, it got to the point where there was no more room. It was shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah.
And it was basically the entire lobby was packed. And
Wow.
It just goes to show you that people, like, they want to get out and do
Yeah,
things,
absolutely.
you know,
That's
in,
great.
from October through the beginning of the next year, there's nothing to do around here, you know, and so it was really good.
Yeah, that's great.
And there was some stiff competition. The Eagle Eyes at Liberty Theater was the same night,
Oh, yeah.
and they sold out.
Yeah.
Almost 700. That's like 680.
Yeah.
I was worried, who's on the pile, no, but they sold out as well.
Yeah.
I think a lot too, and just kind of like to wrap up, because I know we're over time, is the sponsors and getting them to have the visibility. I think they really had a big part of being able to get people drawn in, because every time we were putting something out there, they were sharing it to their people.
Yeah.
And I think that has a lot to do with it too.
That
It's
was
free
great.
marketing. They're gonna market themselves to market us,
Yeah.
so.
That was a great event, though. It was.
You know, we probably did slightly oversell, so we should trim our capacity. One of the other things to talk about is potentially 2 shows. Maybe we do a Friday and Saturday.
Interesting, yeah.
I mean, that could help with that, and obviously people wanting to see it. And we really do need to figure out some kind of ADA area. That was probably the biggest complaint was. I can't go up in the bleachers. I don't know what that looks like. I think we probably have to get some brains thinking about how that looks, if it's a platform or if it's an ushered section where there's actually somebody trying to keep the area clear. So they can see.
Well, my aunt also commented there wasn't enough handicap spots.
Yeah, and we weren't anticipating them putting that wrap around the arena. And then when he put that, I was like, well, that's difficult.
Yeah, the only thing we could do is drop that down 1 rung possibly, but it's a safety thing
Yeah,
with the
yeah.
bulls
Oh,
and stuff
yeah.
out there, like we have to have something.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't have like that true rodeo ground where it's
Yeah.
down in the ground as opposed to the
Yeah.
bleachers.
So if
like
it's
that.
a flat one. I don't know, that's something that we'll have to think about.
Yeah.
We did have 2 people, one person that we gave a refund, like right at the beginning of the show. Another person that left, they wanted a refund, but they had online tickets, so we told them to go to the refund. And we have another lady that has asked for a refund as well. I'm still uncertain if she stayed for the whole show. But, she said she couldn't see it, we'll return. So 3
That's not
Three
bad.
losers out of.
A lot of happy people.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay, well, we're gonna wrap up our work session, and we're gonna call our regular meeting to order. Where'd my first page go? Did I get rid of that?
We just have to follow it.
So I had emailed you, Matt, I think. But one of the things that we would like to do is add a presentation from OSET to the agenda.
Okay.
I don't know where you want to put it, but in the business agenda somewhere.
It will put at the end. I'd also like to add, discussion of laundry facility in there. There.
Actually, no, things we will call them.
Everybody's here. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
To make a motion to approve the agenda with the additions of OSET presentation and, what did you say, Matt? I'm sorry,
Laundry facility.
laundry facility. Anyone wants to second that?
I second it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No, okay. At this time, I will open the floor to public comment. Do we have any public comment this morning? Okay, we've got a couple things. At this time, anyone wishing to address the fair board concerning items of interest on or off the fair agenda may do so. The person addressing the fair board will recognize, when recognized, give their name and address for record. All remarks will be addressed to the whole board and limited to 3 minutes per person. Fair board members reserve the right to delay any action, if required, until such time when they are fully informed and the matter is scheduled as an agenda item. Faith, you wanna go ahead and go?
Faith Samuelson, PO Box 1128 Astoria. First of all, congratulations, and I appreciate there being more fair board members. You guys are horribly hard to hear, and I have begged for every fair board meeting I'm at. If we could, people speak up, you can't hear Kyle. If you guys could consider getting some microphones, everybody have one in front of them, have a sound speaker so that people can hear and understand what you guys are talking about, it'd be greatly appreciated.
So Kyle actually introduced that, I think, on one of your first meetings. Do we still have that equipment?
We do,
It's right there. We have
yeah.
four mics, we can have a wireless mic.
But is it gonna interrupt this?
I'm not sure, I know
That
it
just
seemed
is-
like when we had it, I was, the microphones. So. You're the quietest.
Sound like wire.
I was gonna say, I probably don't need one.
Yeah. That'll just pick up a louder sound from these bigger speakers.
Yeah,
As long as all of us, everybody who's here. Doesn't put the mic down here and they actually use the mic, but we've got the equipment.
It's horrible when the heaters and stuff come on, you can't hear
Okay,
anything.
alright,
So I'm just begging for you guys to maybe take that into consideration.
yeah, we will absolutely get something going so we can get that figured out for you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Sorry. Anybody else? No? Okay. We're gonna move on to the consent calendar. The Cascade Arena Sound Repair Proposal. And the minutes.
I know I haven't necessarily brought this to you guys to discuss it, but, I can just kind of briefly tell you what the situation was. The system wasn't working. We brought Cascade Sound in to assess it. They said that, basically, one of the amp channels was totally shot, and the second one had an issue and it was going in to protect, so basically the two amps needed to be replaced. And then basically the digital analog controller on there, like the pots and stuff on it were super dirty. Wearing out and, basically that was making it so that the sound was terrible. This equipment here goes to like an all digital and it's expandable. We could, in theory, connect these speakers to it, not the corner ones, but these teardrops as well. So like during like the 4-H banquet, like you have sound throughout the whole room instead of just in the corners.
Yeah.
But it is all of a like more of a digital system instead of the analog system that we have. Another thing that could be done is instead of having to be in the room at that box to make your adjustments to your sound and stuff, you could have a mobile. Finger or controller, and so when you're in the event, you're more like where you're hearing the sound and you can make the adjustments. Instead of trying to adjust the sound and hear for what it sounds like on the bleachers,
Yeah.
isn't really good practice. And so that's what this $9,175 is. That equipment that's in there is probably closer to 20 years old than 10 years old. It's really modernized the stuff. It does include, money that we already owe them for coming out and doing the service call as well, so that $9,175 is not just the equipment purchase, it's also some monies that we actually already owe them.
Cool.
So bringing in the loaner equipment.
So it's about 8 then for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, or do we have to have other proposals from anyone else?
So we worked with them for an on-call contract, so they're our on-call vendor.
Okay,
We have some ability to work with them on this.
Okay, and then we just needed to get the minutes approved for the October
Yeah,
1st
you're
meeting.
you're just approving the entire consent calendar.
Okay. Okay, so do we have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
so that's approving this as well then, is that what you're
Yes.
saying?
Unless you want to change the motion and do that.
I will make a motion to approve the consent calendar, including the Cascade Sound. And 10-1-24 minutes.
Okay, do we have a second? Second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, Consent calendar is approved, motion carries. All right, board member reports. We'll probably start with, you guys don't, I'm guessing you guys new guys don't have any thing to report. Mallory, do you have anything that you would like to report?
I don't think so. I think I touched base just on the rodeo and all of that stuff. So, no.
I don't have anything. Kyle, your report, sir?
Hey, you know, we're rolling out of rodeo mode, and from there, we went into getting new third board member mode. And so now we're kind of shifting back into this, really getting to fair planning. That's where we're heading to. That's what the big committee assignment piece is. So we've kind of been working on some of the stuff in the meantime. But having things like the handbook already done for the most part, and the event and software for the vendor applications done. We'll be able to focus on some of these other services this year for the fair, like looking at our concert production and looking at our food court layout and production and tent and stuff like that, and try to get some additional quotes. So those are some of the goals that I think we have, is to try to look at those and not just doing what we've always done because we've always.
Yeah.
We have the roof project, like I mentioned. We've got CERTA Business Solutions that's been doing this assessment. They told me that they have basically the project ready. The last thing that they were waiting on was their structural guy reviewing their plan and making sure that there wasn't gonna have to be any structural improvements in order to support the weight of the repair. Said their structural guy checked off on it, so they're ready. They're moving forward to the final steps of that. We had a pretty significant water leak during the fair. We fixed the leak during the fair. Got a leak adjustment. The city said, hey, you're gonna pay your bills and we're waiting for leak adjustment. We're like, oh, it appears that you're still leaking. So we discovered that it was leaking. So we struggled with that a little bit more. It's fixed. Should be getting that repair or that adjustment with I did receive a phone call from Jeff Harrington, the city of Astoria Public Works Director. He called to talk about a water line project that they had. He said in the past, at some point, I don't know how long ago, there was a discussion about rerouting the water line that goes through the lower field. And that they were gonna run it through the upper property boundary down this side. Said it had gone as far as they even had stuff like craft easements. So sometime in the next week or two, I'm gonna meet with him and see what he's talking about. If he needs to come here and present to you guys, or if I can present to you what is for that project. Basically, that water line was built in World War II to feed the Navy hospital. It's gotta be.
Yeah.
Speaking of water, did the water, is that part of the thing that got fixed? You're talking about over to the.
No, that's separate. The other side of the road.
Yeah.
That was the water leak. It was actually, the leak is behind the sheriff's office building. Like on the back corner, it's a spot that we don't go to. We just do not. When we found out about it during the fair, it was because the campers had the water permit. But then this time we found it because it said you're still leaking, and I went and looked at the water meter. Oh crap. So, but we did a pretty good repair with a big old rust spot in there. It's not, should not fail.
So the clubhouse has water now then?
It does.
Okay.
And I would love to look at that project, a project over there on the corner by the macro device. Right now, there's a water meter that feeds that side of the road. Feeds the clubhouse and the entire parking lot. Ideally in the winter and when there's nobody over there, we can turn off that entire lot. But if we turn it off now, we shut the clubhouse down. So if we could add a couple more ballots, we could shut that one off without shutting down the clubhouse. It's a project, we do some pop. Figure out what. We don't know how the plumbing is on there. There's no drawings. Know how everything. So,
Yeah.
but I'd love to get that project done, and then we can shut it off without anything. That reminds me, I did not have this noted on my manager's report, but at the last meeting. Where we appointed the board members, The county also approved the transfer of the lease house back to the Ridge Association. So that building is now theirs and they've leased the property for $1. I don't know how long that is, but I don't think it's a definite lease. So the county still owns the property, but the building is not.
We're getting a shaking of the head back there by Julie, so it's indefinite.
Yeah, that's all done. There is another item, I'm not sure how to. Handle this rental, it's for a monster truck event. They wanna do a monster truck event over President's Day weekend. I have already have it scheduled for myself to be on vacation. Which I don't think is a huge issue, I'm just slightly uncomfortable with a major public event and be not in town. I've talked with Kelly about it and I've talked with the promoter about it and. They really don't need anything from us, just put somebody here, like in case there is an issue with the lights and the bathrooms during the event. But I kind of wanted to pass that to you guys. If there was a team from the board that wanted to step in and help with them during the event.
What are the dates on that? What are the dates?
It's President's Day weekend, I believe it's like February 16th.
16th, 17th.
Third weekend.
Weekend after weigh-in.
Said we'd love to have an event. They want to do, we'd love to have those events happening as much as possible.
Yeah.
I tried to coach them into another weekend, but for their, it's really for a different weekend. They want to do 3 shows. They want to do a show on Friday night and 2 shows on Saturday. So one on Saturday and another one at 7 on Saturday.
That's inside?
Yeah. And it's a different group than the ones that came in last night. It's Ron Leach, the American Thunder guy, so the guy that was doing the ride trucks before Chuck came in to start doing the ride trucks. Chuck has done the last 2 years, but prior to that, when Jason was here, Ron is the guy that did the ride truck.
Yeah.
I did talk with him a little bit too, though, about something during the fair, because he would of course love to be the ride truck at the fair again. And it sounded like he had helped with a demo derby at one time. I gave him the rundown on the problems that we're trying to address. Said, but that being said, if we could do something in the gravel, maybe we could do an event there. And so he was gonna kick around some ideas. I don't know if you can do a demo derby in the gravel. Or if there's something we could do to make it so they could do a demo derby in part of that gravel, but. He was like, well, I could do a thrill show. I was like, we tried that last year. I think a race or a derby or a major event would be one thing, but I don't know if we would, I don't think another thrill show is gonna draw people over. If we do, it's gotta be up here.
Will, is Kelly working that week? The reason I ask is the Friends of the Fair Horse Show is the following weekend, and I'm assuming, obviously, like, we wouldn't be here Monday, so that would give him 3 days to try to get the arena back
Yeah,
in shape.
yeah,
I don't know, just a thought.
it's doable. You know?
Yeah.
So I've had conversations with him about the show and him being available for the show, and he basically without a hesitation said, book it, like.
Yeah.
Book it, I'm still like, love to make sure we have some others to do it for you. But you know, they're dealing with everything, they're dealing with ticketing, production, janitorial, all of that is on them, it's their event, they're renting.
They're renting the facility.
Yeah.
But it's a lot, you know, to just say, here's the keys.
Well, I mean, with that in mind, though, they are renting the facility. This is their event.
Right.
You know, and really, like you said, you just need somebody here that knows the facility, knows how to take care
I
of
got a
things.
reset breaker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I personally don't have a problem with you not being here. However, with that said, I think that this is just kind of another reason why I'm kind of really on board with getting another employee hired here, at least a part-timer for the weekends.
Yeah.
You know, so we can have somebody here every weekend, all the time.
Mhm.
That way you and Kelly don't have to be working overtime hours and stuff so much to
Yeah.
be covering these events and stuff. So I think as we carry on with these things, that it could be a really good thing to get another employee here to just to better serve people. You know, so
The last one,
Are they allowed
we
to-
do have,
Are they allowed to say anything?
Uh,
Can we just get clarification on those dates?
The President's Day weekend.
Cause there's a dog show that Monday.
You have it Saturday in the calendar, but it's actually Monday.
Yeah. which that should work. The monster truck guys will be out on Sunday.
But
That's
it'll
all.
be cleaned out
Okay.
then.
Yeah.
And
It'll
use
be
it.
cleaned out. and
They'll
they're
take all their
actually-
equipment with them.
There wouldn't be fence panels
Oh,
up
okay.
either, so it'd actually probably be better for them because it'd already be on the back.
But you had put Saturday in the calendar. That's why I was confused.
Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
so the last one to discuss, we already have booked Jordan Circus again to do another show over spring break week on that Wednesday. But we've also received a request from the Magic Circus, which I'm not familiar with how it went, but my understanding is that was the circus group when Jason was here that did like the inflatables and all that. Again, it's a rental, and if they're willing to rent it, it's on them, but prior discussion was not that the board wasn't really a fan of that production. My concern would be two circuses and how's that gonna affect each other, but I don't know if you guys have any input on that one. If you think we should push that one, or if you think that we should tell them things that we have a circus within, I think it's within like 30 days.
Do they know, did we talk, I mean, that might just be like something that they would be like, oh, if you already have one. I mean,
I have not discussed it with them yet. I knew I was meeting with you guys and I
Yeah.
kind of wanted to be a little bit prepared when I had a
Yeah.
conversation with them if I was gonna tell them that. But it's not really a circus. It's like some inflatables and some face painting, maybe like some clowns and jugglers, but there's like no animals or that from what I understand.
I just wouldn't wanna lose, I have no idea who the other circus is, but I wouldn't wanna like upset the one that we have a good relationship with.
Yeah,
For this guy that does face painting, you know,
right.
but I don't know anything about it.
I don't particularly either. I know I've heard Kelly say some comments about it, and I think Kelly definitely has an opinion on this magic circus. There you go.
is that the one that everyone was talking about, like how creepy everyone was and it was weird and
Yeah,
There's something like.
yeah, you're right, I did. hear about it.
You guys
Yeah.
have like a vendor and then like creep factor or something like that, or is that notes, pluses and minuses? That sounds.
I think maybe I'll just call and then I'll have a conversation.
Yeah.
And say we have Golden Circus coming in this game.
yeah,
And-
Yeah.
You may wanna do a little research on them. We'll Google them to see if there's other people have commented about his. His
This
circus.
production.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it one bad event, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. That's. The extent of what I have for you guys.
Yeah, I hate to turn down a facility rental, right? Because I mean, they would be doing it. So I think personally, as long as you inform them that we have a circus coming. If he wants to pay the rental, why wouldn't we let him if the facility is available, you know? Unless they're just, like you say,
Yeah.
unless you're just like horrible reviews everywhere, like creepers don't ever come to the show type of deal, so.
yeah.
People expecting the Jordan Circus and they come to this one.
Yeah.
and they're
Yeah.
unhappy.
Yeah.
But. That's not necessarily our problem, I guess.
That's still reflects.
Yeah. Okay. Moving down into our business agenda. We'll start with the Astoria Senior Celebration Committee request. They've requested a reduction in fees, right? Reduced or given. You know, one of the things about our levy that we have is like. We asked for money this last round to benefit the community, right? The money is to benefit the community to hold events here and stuff. And so really, so we can sponsor some of these things for youth in the community. Anytime we can get kids involved doing something, especially on something like this, to keep them out of the logging roads drinking and stuff on their graduation night is always a good thing. So, that's just my opinion on it, but they are asking for a reduction in fees. A 75% is what they've specifically asked for.
So, and Matt, you were at that last meeting, but they had made a presentation and we had tabled it because there was some additional discussion with. The Warrington group that
Okay.
was also talking about doing a celebration the prior day. And that maybe they could collaborate and we could come up with some type of mutually beneficial arrangement. We reached out to Warrenton again and they decided that they're gonna go out of town for their event. They're not going to be coming out here, so. That discussion's off the table and now
Yeah.
we're looping back to the original request from Astoria.
Okay. So we have any discussion about that at all?
Has this happened before?
Yeah, it's pretty common. I don't know if we've done anything for them specifically.
So
have we?
last year for the Astoria Senior Celebration, we rented the entire facility to them for $1,900.
Yeah.
So that was this room and in the arena. And they were in here while the floor was still down. They were in that period of time before Scandinavian Festival, so they were able to set up inflatables and all kinds of stuff in there.
And you guys are looking to do the whole facility again, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I'm confused. Jenna, was it $1,900 last year? Was it $1,900 last year?
Yes. It was,
Yes.
and I'm not
So it's-
sure, were you involved last year?
Well, that
Not in
was
this
a
part of
discounted
it.
rate.
I
Okay,
just
gotcha.
was
Yeah, it's really not
volunteering the night of,
3,400.
but-
No. Okay, sorry. Thank you. I mean, that's.
That's the regular price it would be to
Gotcha.
rent the facility. And so they're asking for a 75% reduction, $850.
Can I ask a dumb question?
There's no dumb question.
$850 is the same as zero.
Well, that was zero too.
I don't know. This is my first night doing this, being on the fair board, but. If we're gonna do that,
I think the only thing is to consider is you're setting a precedent and there's 3 high schools, so
and that-
potentially you could have
that's
3
my next
different high
question,
schools
yeah.
wanting to do it, and so you just have to figure out. Then that could be times 3. It's the only thing to consider from the amount of the reduction.
And, you know, kind of moving into where you guys are with, you know, this discussion. I think as you are doing your strategic plan, it's something that you should be thinking about how you would want to address these types of requests, because there is a lot of groups that would love to get
Yeah.
discounts from us.
That's true.
And we get a lot of requests and trying to figure out either. This is gonna be for you guys to all figure out. I'm just throwing some ideas out to be thinking about moving forward. Either you have a set amount of dollars that you give out each year, or you have some kind of. Reason why you're selecting the groups that you're selecting to get these discounts. But then also knowing that, you know, there are expenses for us.
Yeah.
in These groups.
Could you pull up our mission statement by any chance? Real quick.
It's. Somehow.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. See.
Yeah, cause I just, it'd be kind of cool to look at that really quick, cause I think that's important when we're looking at selecting these things that. It's a really good way to be consistent is to, well, what's our mission statement? You know, does it coincide with our mission statement? And so it's always good to look at.
Could we do graduation, a fixed rate for graduations for county high schools?
Oh, I think I would want to leave flexible, right? You always want to be flexible in everything that you can, as much as you can.
Another point to make, and you said this is your guys' decision, but. That is like as peak of a peak day that we have.
Yeah.
There are. For this facility. I know, and it's because there's a lot of graduation.
I have the mission statement while you're doing that. You want me to read it?
Oh, there it goes.
Oh, you got it?
I saw it. That, yeah, there it is.
That's the county manager.
Oh.
Our section. This is the only spot that I know that it is, but Kristen has it.
Do you got it, Kristen?
Yeah, so Clatsop County Fair Board will provide a financially sound, well-managed facility, providing the general public and the local community with the space, buildings, and equipment needed to engage in events that promote fun, learning, and social activity, especially where children can benefit.
So that's the part that kind of is the kicker right there, that last little line, is especially where children can benefit. You know, and I think that's the main thing that we need to look at there, so. That's just kind of my 2 cents. When we're looking at these things to donate or to give it a reduction in fees. I personally, supposed to be kind of neutral on these things, but I would like to see like that 50% or 75% would be fine. keep it at a flat 1,000. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, anyone else doesn't have anything, I would make a
Well,
motion. Yeah.
The point I have is that we have a bond measure coming up, to understand, this could go a nice relation.
Yeah.
Win for the bond, before the bond measure.
Yeah, exactly.
Comes up in September.
Yeah.
I would move to reduce the fees by 75%. Renting the facility to the Astoria Senior Celebration Committee for $850 on, I don't know where the date went. I had it. I don't know if we need to have it on there, but
Basically Friday through Sunday, that weekend.
So what if someone? I'm assuming
Hang on
all this,
one second there, bud.
Oh, sorry.
So we've got a motion on the table. Do we have a second for that motion?
A second.
Okay, now this is where we can open up for discussion.
I was just curious, what if someone else, like, let's just say. Some quilting people decided they wanted to rent it, and then the graduation turned out that's when it would work for them. Is it first come, first serve, or is it, how does that work? Or is it always the kids?
if it's rented, it's rented.
Yeah,
That's what I thought.
Yeah,
So that is definitely some more of the conversation, to figuring out, you know, your methodology on how you handle these types of requests. We have had several agreements that, you know, we do provide some services free, but it does have built-in language that there's paid events you can call.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the trade-off that a group is taking by taking a free event. Is that you're giving you free, but not paying things up, but if you would like to pay, it's yours.
Yeah.
So free events do get bumped.
Not necessarily, it depends on what the agreement was made with the board, so anything that waivers from the rental fee structure, they come to the board to ask for, whatever that would be. Now, there's other stuff like having an MOU with an organization that just grants them access to for a certain amount of events or things like that. They have recurring things that they're here all the time. They're not coming in asking them to time, just have these things. But those are the ones that.
So you mentioned that there were fees or there were costs. And would that be covered if we gave the 75% reduction?
Likely. That time of the year, there's not a lot of. Like power and stuff, it means that they're gonna be using one of. When you're having an event in here and all the doors are open and the heat's running on about that. You don't really have a good. Idea on how much things cost.
Right.
At this point for particular things, but there's, you know, there's wear and tear, there's trash, there's cleaning that needs to be done, a tractor died in some situations.
it's
This
almost,
event doesn't, I don't think this event would have any needs for those, because it's really, the floor is already down and it's just opening up the doors. But there's other events where it could be, it's like, okay, and then we granted them it, and then it's like, oh, but we actually would like 2 days to set up.
Right.
We want an extra day of
Yeah.
cleanup, so those are some of the things to be thinking about when you're asking for.
yeah, it's almost like, it's not if we're going to break even by doing that, it's what are we gonna be missing out on by
Right, and-
allowing this whole facility to be a, you know, use that.
Right.
So it's just something to consider.
Yeah, and can we make it on record that if we approve it this time, that it will be part of the strategic planning? And that with the expectation, some sort of a standard that we can, that we can determine going forward as to how often or what type of events get discounts.
Yeah, I think so. So we would have to amend the motion, the original motion to do that. If we wanted to include that now, or if we just wanted to look at that later, that's something that we can just include into our strategic planning.
Yeah, okay. I just didn't know if it was helpful in case others come up and say, why, how come I was excluded in the future?
Yeah.
We were just saying, we have yet to come up with a defined standard. And so we're gonna do this one more time, and then we're gonna define it in the year 2025.
Yeah.
So that we know that way it kind of helps in the future when you specify that, we're doing it differently next year.
Yeah.
So it's not grandfathered in.
Yeah.
I like, this is something that I've been trying to get to, like a whole comp evaluation for other facilities, how they do things, but like some of the concepts I've seen is like a civics price, like is it a community civics type of event, or is it like a celebration of life event, or, you know, is it a children's club? Is it a nonprofit children's club? Is it a school function? You can come up with some things like that.
And blackout periods.
Yeah, and some.
Yes, yeah.
Okay,
I wanna say our group is also willing to clean up, I think. we Did it last year, I mean.
Yeah.
We're willing to clean up.
yeah,
Exactly.
okay,
And you know, that's also another part of the conversation, when we're talking about these, is there some in-kind services that people could get for reduction? Maybe they don't have money, but they have a bunch of manpower.
Right.
And they
Yeah.
can come out and do something for us.
okay. All in favor? Of the original motion?
Nice.
Any opposed? No, okay, motion carries. Gonna rent the facility for $850 to the Astoria Senior Celebration Committee on the dates that were mentioned.
Thank you.
Okay, fair dates, 2025 fair dates. Is our next one here?
So this is something that I've kind of been going down this path, and with the understanding that this was the direction that the board wanted to go, was to going to a 4-day fair. There's nothing that we've done to this point that has locked us into that, but what we need from you as a board is a formal motion setting. If it's either gonna be a 5-day or a 4-day fair this year. Talking with 4-H, they've said that it won't affect them. We would have to figure out how that works, because they're still going to have their same program occurring on that Tuesday, whether we have a public fair or not. But what it would allow for us is to have vendors that aren't required to be here for 5 days. So you only have to be here for 4 days, and a lot of the feedback that we've received from vendors is that 5 days is just way too long for a fair like ours. They're just. They just don't wanna do it, they can't do it, they need it. It also helps us reduce like having to book our stage for a whole extra day. So we're saving on some entertainment for that whole extra day. I think we would probably have similar attendance over the same period. The majority of fairs, unless they're really big fairs, you know. 150,000 people plus are at 4 days. The really, really big fairs, they're at 10 days, or they're even 2 full weeks in some
Yeah.
situations. But for us, I think it's worth us trying, but that's the board's decision, so if you guys wanna do it, we need to make a motion and update our stuff and get it announced as 4 days.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean just to clarify too, that doesn't mean like we're like not, our doors aren't open for the public to come watch the kids still show, like they're more than welcome to still come. It's just everything won't be necessarily in place.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, you know, some of the things that is gonna benefit is we're gonna be able to take that money. I mean, there's only so much money and it's going. Not further and further, but
Yeah.
staying closer and closer these days. Is we're gonna be able to take all that funding that we have and put it into better quality vendors. And you guys probably aren't aware, but we have to pay room and board for a lot of these acts that we hire. We pay them to come here to do the acts, but we also pay their travel. We pay their hotel fees, meal per day, like there's a lot of money that goes into that. And so if we take a day off of that, I mean, we could be saving 30 grand, 40 grand, you know, and putting that money to better use, to having better quality things,
Like a new sound system.
like a new sound system.
Is now a good time to ask a question?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so what if a food vendor said, hey, I'd like to be here Tuesday as well? Do we allow them to be, or are they not allowed to be? It's not fair.
I think we could probably accommodate them for that, you know, it's. I think there's a couple of vendors that I know particularly that we would mind doing that, like. Kendall Express that's been here for 35 years, they bring their trailer in. A week before, it's sitting out in the parking lot.
Yeah.
You know, for the entire week prior to the fair. So they would probably like to do that. If we were able to get a good coffee vendor, they would probably like to open their shop. But there's definitely some of the other, like, more specialized fair vendors, like the guys with the corn dogs and curly fries and funnel cakes and stuff like that, that they're not
they would.
really interested in running that thing.
So it'd be an option. Or we would not allow any, yeah, I mean, I was just curious.
I think what we'd wanna do is be able to allow them to do it. We wouldn't, I mean, we're gonna still have that set 4-day vendor price. I think we'd still probably ask for that commission on that day, but they're not gonna have to pay an extra day vendor fee or something like that, is what I would envision.
Yeah. Again, I think we would only wanna do it for vendors. I don't think we would wanna.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with
Yeah,
that.
100%.
But as far to your comment matter, we don't charge them either. We charge them a base rate and then that comes off of their percentage.
Mhm.
They pay a $200 deposit, that comes off of their percentage. And that was some of the feedback I had gotten from the Nike convention. There was a lot of talk about commissions and food vendors being very receptive with commissions, but they're paying 25 to 27% commissions. And I told them we're 15%. They're like, but that's before they know we're a 10,000 person fair.
Yeah.
You know, they think the small fair is 80,000. They're making $60,000.
Yeah.
What we.
I did have a question on I think like sponsors maybe give the free first day, I think like Lunds was sent us something, because we got it, they did a poll, and they're like, that's your day, free day to go to the fair. Would that shift, would that change?
So that one particular sponsorship was unique. We had custom tailored that sponsorship. They
Oh, okay.
were bouncing back and forth between doing a day at the fair or doing X amount of tickets.
Oh.
Because it was like, how do we do a day at the fair? Do we take a tally and then at the end of the day, we send them a bill?
Oh, I see.
And so the solution we said, so we're gonna give you so many tickets, I think it might be.
Okay.
But then they gave out to us. So that was us trying to develop a sponsorship program and tailor it to somebody who was willing to give us some money.
Got it. Okay. I was curious if it changed at all. Got it.
Bridget, this is related, but it's, a lot of bands that we bring into the Liberty and stuff. We negotiate hard with them and they find places to stay, they find friends, et cetera, so I'll be happy when that time comes to. There's a lot of, don't underestimate bands that want to come to the coast.
Yeah.
If they break even, they bring their families. It's a different mindset than you might think.
Yes.
So I could clarify a little too. The bands, for the most part, we're not paying them, their travel fees, but it's like the unique fair performers, like
Didn't
the
understand that. Yeah,
clowns.
that's good.
The guy on the cart that travels around, the puppeteer, those types of.
Gotcha.
those
Yeah,
types.
that's different. They're here 5 days, like 4 days.
What I try really hard to do with the music acts is to book them. Because I
Correct.
feel like it's the county fair and
I-
we
I
should be
agree.
celebrating the folks. that-
And I just thought this would come into play with bands that, there's a, Fort George pays, it's embarrassing the amount of money they pay bands every Sunday.
Yeah.
But there's they're booked a year in advance, because people from Portland want to bring their families.
Yeah.
If they break even and sell some merch. But it doesn't matter if it's all local. so
Yeah.
Never mind.
Okay. Is there any more discussion? No. So we're gonna need a motion to adjust our length of our fair and to include the dates, so it needs to be fairly specific here.
I will make a motion to set the fair dates to a 4-day fair as July 29th through August 2nd
I
of
did that.
2025.
I did that.
That's backwards.
I was like, wait.
Shouldn't it be
It
30?
definitely
should
is
be 30.
backwards. I
Should be
apologize.
30, yeah.
Remove that. And I make a motion to set the fair dates to 4 days as of July 30th through August 2nd for 2025 fair.
Okay, do we have a second?
A second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? Okay, motion carries. 4-day fair.
So kind of tail end of that discussion that we also were talking about was what we were gonna do for the 2026 fair. No, there's desire to get the carnival back. I don't have anything set in stone from somebody, but this will be a discussion that we'll wanna have again soon. About what 2026 looks like, and if there is an actual viable option for the carnival and what you all are willing to do with fair dates. With that.
And what that means is like by moving it a week or 2 weeks or something.
Yeah.
There's a lot of moving parts in that though.
Yeah.
We'll have to really look,
Sooner than later.
Yeah.
we-
yeah, we really have to look deep at that, so,
Yeah, I already started digging into that, and I was like, wow, I had no idea.
yeah,
How in depth.
don't dig too deep, buddy.
That's a
Oh, boy.
long rabbit hole.
Yeah. Okay,
Very, people are very. opinionated on this.
Yes. Okay, so we are moving on to the vendor handbook. Do we make any major changes from last year?
I have not made any changes yet.
I skimmed through it. I didn't notice anything different.
You know, the real, what we're hoping that we're getting to with these things, and granted, this is the first time we implemented this book, so if there's changes. It's understandable because we're just figuring it out, but ideally, we're just changing the dates on this book from year to year,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
we're publishing it. We would really like to get this out before the end of the year, that's kind of why I urgently threw it in there, even
Yeah.
without making my own comments on there. I know that Krista has some good feedback on some of the things that she would like to change, but there's like administrative type things that we want to put in there. It's the big stuff that we want to do some progress on. If there was issues from the last fair that you particularly knew about. I don't know if you wanna take the time and mention some of the things, or if you want me to mention some of the stuff you mentioned.
Yes, I know I'm happy to contribute. It was a really valuable document, I will say, to hold vendors accountable and to hold us accountable as well. So having it was useful. We referenced it a lot last fair. So just notes from conversations from vendors during fair and then with OFA, because I'd like to eliminate that food vendors pay for additional badges. Hearing that food vendors are bringing people to work and they're not bringing people to potentially go play at the fair. And having more of a partnership with food vendors and eliminating an additional badge fee of $10 per badge. And so supporting that a little bit more with them and hearing that from food vendors at OFA.
The other part of that conversation too is, you know, the food vendors are paying us a percentage, so we're really in partnership with these food vendors. More so than them renting a space, like, the better we do, the better they do, the better they do, the better we do. So it's a different relationship than it is.
You cap it, like how many badges they get for free?
I get 4 initially for
Oh,
free.
I know, but if you open it up to not charge them.
I don't know.
I don't think we would cap it, but I think we would also keep an eye on them. If
Yeah,
they
you
were like,
use
we
the
want
judgment.
25 badges.
Yeah.
I'm not giving to them.
Yeah.
But, you know, at some larger fairs, that could be real. Okay, it's a real situation where they need 25 badges and they've been charged $30 a piece for these badges. And that takes a chunk out of
Yeah.
there. So finding ways to support them, then there's more.
Yeah, no, and as Kyle said, mine are a little bit more administrative, having some visuals included in there. It may add some more pages, but showing what a booth footprint looks like, staying within the 10 by 10 space that they're paying for. And then seeing in contrast to a booth that goes into the aisle. It's easier to show an image instead of, you know, in all those 14 pages of words. And then we talked about updating the vendor password since it seems to have gotten out and about, and it doesn't seem to be the super secret password anymore. So if we're gonna update that, then having that stand out a little bit more in the vendor handbook, plus it's part of their packet that they get. They get the sheet of the vendor password has been updated. So just some minor tweaks, but I do really want to stress having this handbook is really beneficial.
Yeah.
I would suggest in the visuals, have a visual of the entire vendor area also. Every contract I've ever signed, over 100 fair contracts over the years. I've always seen exactly where I was in there, and that way they know there's no argument when they get there. I know this is a smaller fair. But it sometimes gets very, you know, somebody comes in there and sets up. And it gets here early, so it just defines where they're going to be.
Yeah.
I know something that I've been thinking a lot about, and it's about empty space. You know, we had a lot of empty space at the last 2 fairs, and how to try to eliminate more of that empty space without it costing us money. And so, you know, we have food vendors and then we have retail vendors, but we get a lot of requests from nonprofit groups that are really, they're like educational. groups. And we told them essentially, you're a retail vendor, $200 retail vendor fee. But if we were to consider a lower commercial vendor, lower nonprofit vendor fee, that could potentially help us get some more space filled up in these groups that are.
Yeah.
Doing these nonprofit things. It's something that I've tried to been thinking about, how are we gonna lay out there? How can we start eliminating more and more of these empty spaces? Almost all of the ideas cost something.
Yeah.
And so, we charge $200, but would we be willing to go into like $50 fee? I don't know if I want to say free, because there are expenses for us, used to dealing with issuing them badges, managing their contract, all this stuff. They're gonna produce trash, all these things. There's costs for these vendors. Also, just trying to make it feel more actively crowded.
Yeah.
Trying to keep people on the grounds, length of stay,
Length of stay, man.
longer, and if there's more booths. Take it longer.
Where were you going?
Can I interrupt for a second? Did you create a new agenda item? Because it felt like we didn't finish. Did we finish the topic of the?
Yeah, this is all
That's
like.
what we're talking about. Right, that's a section in this book, it's about booth spaces, fees.
Okay, sorry. I'm sorry.
I didn't
Yeah,
really.
he's talking about adding an additional space
Additional.
for nonprofit
I see.
educational groups.
Oh, okay. Another
We
section.
should cap that at 10 or 5 or some comfort.
We would have to figure out that, I mean, that's some of like what John was alluding to. Knowing exactly how many slots we have to book would be great. The 2 years that I've been here, we haven't been, it's been really the week before the fair, before we really figured out where everybody was gonna go, based on how much we had to hit.
Yeah.
But I think what we did last year with the parking, I think we have a better idea of what our footprint is going to look like. It's something that we can tackle as if we think early on when we're looking at this. How many slots we have. I think we could probably publish the application now. Without that, but getting that and getting this updated early on for the spots that we have.
I'm wondering if you are gonna have a nonprofit with a different cost structure, if there might be a portion where you could separate. The vendor handbook where there's a section that's for everybody. And then there's a section that's the full pay versus the non-profit. Potentially so that you can have some flexibility in that.
You separate that.
Yeah, well, yeah, like maybe you have one that's just, here's all the rules everybody needs to follow. But then there's the other portion of it that is like, how many badges you get, how much it costs you. Because I mean, I think for nonprofit, you could still, if the badge gets them into the fair, their volunteers may be willing to, mention a little bit too, who knows, I don't know. But I think that would be helpful if you have this the common set of rules, and then there's a section for profit and not-profit, or a cost reduce section.
And Kyle, the Santa Clara County Fair is a big fair.
I don't think anybody can hear you. I really can't.
Santa Clara County Fair is a big fair. They had non-profit vendors operating a lot of food vendors.
Yeah.
Booths. They took those food vendor booths out. And the nonprofits no longer involved, and they took a drop of about 12% in attendance.
Yeah.
So these people, my point is, those people with the nonprofits will advertise they're gonna be there at the fair and bring in their constituents also. It's another way of getting the word out, to people who possibly would never come to the fair.
Yeah, that's like what Mallory was talking about with these sponsorships. Drawing these participants in our production are drawing people in. It's a good point. Say, I'm definitely no expert on this. I can figure it out. Glad to have a big team. I would say like on this whole handbook thing, I realize that you all are, this is your first meeting and there's a lot here. I don't think this is something that we necessarily need to make a decision on tonight, but it would be great to have a decision on the third when we meet again. So this is more of a discussion that we're moving forward, and if there's more we want to add to it.
I have one question also, just for the structure of the document. Can you kind of gauge the questions that people ask you a lot, or what portions of it might be confusing? from like last year? Did you get any?
Yeah,
sense of
yeah,
that?
no, yeah, to answer your question, what we're asking, because I know there's a lot of information there.
Right,
And then they also receive a welcome email with some more information,
Right.
and there's communication at least 1 week before, a couple of days before. I think most common questions are related to booth setup.
okay,
And we've got the indoor areas and outdoor areas, and they want to know where are they want to visualize where they're at, so that so they can start to plan. So I'd say that's pretty much where a lot of the
Okay.
focus is on the, what are our rules for that, and oh, did you get my electrical order, and you know,
Okay.
things like that, so that they know.
they also may
they're
not read
prepared.
it.
Well, that is definitely a problem,
Yeah,
especially
that's-
people that have been here a lot.
Yeah,
And the biggest problem with that particularly is the people that wanna leave early. And we made it very clear that you cannot leave early.
Yeah.
It just kills the entire fair when people start leaving, and so, you know, I got into, I wouldn't say I was in an argument because I wasn't angry, but they were. I was just explaining to them. Read the handbook, it's in the handbook, it's clear as black and white, like you can't leave.
Do you have something for them to sign?
Yeah, it's in our application when they apply, there's a checkbox that says they read the terms and conditions before they can even submit their app.
And do you want to add another one of like, you may not leave early?
Right.
And is this been reviewed by legal?
It has,
Yeah.
yes.
That's common, ScanFest, the Travis Seafood, they all have that problems.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's, I'm surprised vendors fight it because it's everything.
Yeah.
And we tried to accommodate them some last year. We did shift the hours of the fair. We went from going from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. to go into 11 to 9 of the earlier part of the week. We still were 10 to 10 on Saturdays.
And-
Such a busy day, but
And moving it to, that 4 days instead of 5 days could help, because, yeah, you have Scandinavian Fest and Crab Fest, those are just a couple days. You draw it out this long and people get done.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
hopefully bringing it down to 4 days will help too.
you know, last year we gave them some grace. I don't think we're to the point where people that treated us poorly, we would turn away this year, but we would make it clear that, like, we're not gonna put up with that. If you don't follow the rules, you won't be invited back.
So can I make a suggestion, that you guys make the changes that you would like to see, the eliminating the extra badge fee, the nonprofit education vendor section, figure out what you want that to look like. I think $50 is a good mark. Most people can come up with $50 if they want to have something just to cover a little bit of garbage fees and electricity and stuff. And then I think adding whatever, illustrations you wanted to put in there, Kristen, that you think would be helpful, because like, I'm not a super smart guy, I do really good with pictures. Most men do, and so, it's helpful to have that. So if you think you can come up with anything and then we can finalize that maybe next meeting, is that too short of a timeline? For you to do those?
No,
Okay. And then we can vote on it next meeting, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, and then I don't know if we need to put anything in there in regards to like the nonprofit booths, but like, we could have someone come in and say, oh, I'm a nonprofit, but then have all of these things to sell. Like, do we gauge like if you're selling so much?
Oh, I
or
think,
do
I
we
don't think
worry
they should
about
be
that?
selling anything.
Are they
It should
just
be-
an
It
informational?
should be
booth?
educational, right?
Okay, so that might be some sort of language we might need to be putting in there, because I do believe we have a vendor who says they're nonprofit but does sell items, so
Yeah, I think,
we might need to,
that's a
Yeah.
good, that's a good conversation to bring up. I think that if they're gonna be selling things, then it needs to be the normal standard vendor.
yeah,
But if it's just strictly a nonprofit education, that $50 fee,
And I think with the $50 fee, they should show proof of their 503C.
yeah,
or if we just do an informational booth fee and a retail,
Right.
like selling fee,
not
because if we
revenue.
have Hampton or something that wants to come do like an informational thing, they're technically not gonna be a 501(c)(3). They might have fun giveaways or something like that they
Yeah.
would do, but they're not selling anything. So that might be the other option to look at.
I remember as a kid, I think GP had
Yeah, they did.
that was fun.
The
That was
toilet
awesome.
paper,
They weren't selling anything. but
No,
they
they-
did it, And I used
Yeah,
to look
exactly.
forward to that.
Yeah.
exactly.
take the toilet paper roll and throw it to tire type of
Oh,
deal.
yeah.
Really just trying to get more vendors here to take up more empty space.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
So I
trying
think
to
maybe
get the-
separate-
trying to Get the road department to have
Yeah,
So I think separating it maybe as like an informational option and like informational slash giveaway as opposed to like sales.
Yeah,
So does that mean if, the gas company or the electric company comes in and not selling it, there's informational, we're just gonna charge them the informational system rate?
I think so, but I would
Yeah.
also be really trying to push them for a sponsorship.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I would be trying
There you go.
to carve out a sponsorship.
I
from
mean, that's a
them.
commercial, not a nonprofit, or not a mom and pop or something like that.
Yeah.
And, I
and if we
think
do
need to
sponsorship-
rethink some of that stuff there.
When we do sponsorships, we do offer them a booth space.
Yeah.
As well, so.
Yeah, we get a booth, that's fine.
Yeah. So I think I hear what you're saying. You want us to kind of make some.
Yeah,
revisions,
yeah,
bring you a
yeah,
final
make those
Yeah.
changes that you guys would like to see that we would discuss here, and then we can review it next time and vote.
I would add that if any of you guys have anything that you see between now and then that you would like us to consider, let me know. And we'll work that into it.
Okay,
This
so we're
would really
tabling.
love to get it published before the first of the year.
Yeah.
Hopes that we can try to get some more fair type of vendors. This isn't really the push to get the local nonprofits, it's the push to get the guy that's going from fair.
Yeah,
to
the ones
fair
that are
to
traveling.
fair,
Yeah.
To get them here as well.
Okay, moving back to the horse stall purchase.
So this current proposal is to get stalls exactly like the stalls in barns, barn.
A.
C,
Barn A,
barn A.
nothing is in barn C.
Rated all the way, and then for barn C to go to, which that's what I've provided the photo for you.
Yeah.
It's a different type of stall, it's more like the equipment that we have. That all of our panels and gates and everything are, it's from the same manufacturer.
Yeah.
But the idea that I had for that was that it would be easier for our staff to set up and tear down those ones in barn C. But still have stalls that are serviceable for horses.
Yeah.
During the horse show, or whatever. It may not be exactly what the horse groups want in that. Stall, but it's something that will give so that they can do one if they have a packed house.
Would this have to be like paved ground? Like how would these operate in the ground that we have now?
I think it would just sit on there. These are what a lot of facilities are doing, and they even have these, they take them and they set them up in the field, and it's just a modular.
Oh, okay.
setup.
I mean, they could
They're-
set up and
They're all
roll.
put together.
I was gonna say, they look like,
Pins and rails like the gates are that are put up in the arena.
yeah, they look like the ones they just put in Clark County.
So, they're not what we have in the other barn that we're trying to upgrade, but. Those other ones are super heavy. They've got 2x6s in them. They're really heavy. We probably need 4 people to move one of them.
Yeah.
These, I think 2 people could probably move. And, it's been really nice having that space open during the winter and during the.
Yeah.
And during the rest of the year, but knowing during the fair, we gotta have this, not the fair, during these horse shows in the spring, we've gotta have stalls in there. So this is three proposals, the Fitzgerald Farm, 68,429 to upgrade the rest of barn A and to have portable stalls for barn.
Fitzgerald is who we use for all the other ones, right?
Yeah, it's our kind of our go-to guy. We budgeted $70,000 for this, and we talked about this quite a bit. We talked about it before we even tore the stalls out. Granted, we originally talked about buying the same type of stalls that are in barn A to put in barn C, so that's the difference for this.
Go ahead, sorry.
If you guys don't want to go with those other types of stalls, I can have them update the course, but. Open to hearing what you guys think.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be interested, sorry, go ahead.
No.
I'd be interested to just do a little bit more research on them before we kind of, I guess. Move forward just for my own sake. But is the 70,000, does that include all the money that the Friends of the Fair have given us? Or is that just our?
Yeah, we put $70,000 into. An expense line, the revenues all came from either our state money or the levy or the donations.
Okay, so that is included, okay.
We would use the donation money towards this what is that, 70,000?
Okay, and then, I had another question, but I just left my brain.
So, I mean, I think if you are wanting to table this, we definitely want to hit it in December.
Yeah.
We're
Oh,
saying 6 to 8 weeks to get these, and we have a whole
Yeah.
show, I think.
February, the 22nd and 23rd, I think. Would that include like installation too, or is that all on us?
Installation on.
All on us.
And so also, I think, it's not certain if they'll actually have that many horses at that first
Yeah,
show.
they're
Under attended. But last show of the year, they will almost certainly all of those fall.
Yeah. Okay,
You said that it's not installed. I'm just curious only because I look at this stuff. Their freight fees, is that freight from, is that both ways? So they're delivering it as well? And I would imagine 6 to 8 weeks include like is saying they're ordering it to bring to their facility in Yamhill and then shipping it here.
Pat will personally bring it out here on his truck. And deliver it. So this is really freight from Iowa or something like that to Danville, and then he'll bring the equipment out.
Unless you know a guy that can haul it. through.
That's what I was like, that's like miles, like, okay, that's pretty steep.
So we're tabling that, yes?
These are like similar to what they're using at the state fair.
okay.
It's the same stalls. that
The
they
Shutes
use.
County has them.
They look, yeah, they
It's
look
kind of the standard
super-
for,
from, yeah.
And
Okay,
We
no,
also
I-
have the ability, granted, we're only buying sides and fronts for these, you're not buying the backs.
Yeah.
But in theory, we would have enough extra sides that we could set up half of them freestanding now somewhere else. They
Yeah.
can set in the
Yeah.
field
Right.
or anywhere else where there's a wall, we could put.
Mm-hmm.
But the big thing is they have a plywood insert instead of being 2 lines.
Yeah.
Super heavy.
Okay.
I
Go forward.
Since there's 3 sides. And you use the back wall. That back wall needs to be different somehow. Whether it be a thick plywood or something, because horses can get through it.
Well, that's what all the stalls are.
It's the two sides in the front is like they were before and are now.
Yeah.
But if we need to show the folks some more, we can look at that.
At
as
the back wall, if there was like some plywood or something to keep it all together instead of each one of those, because like normal horse stalls are tongue and groove, so they're like keyed together, and those are not keyed together and they just blast out.
Yeah.
that's something that we can continue to look at.
Really, that's not just these ones.
Yeah,
they
that's
were
all
replacing,
3
it's
barns.
All 3 barns that would need that. That
Okay,
could be a good, maybe drop quote project. if it's about there.
Yeah.
do we want to move forward with the motion for that?
I think we have it set aside. I think that we've been getting donations from the groups that have been using them, so I think I'm comfortable with moving forward.
Okay.
So, I will make a motion to approve the purchase of the replacement horse stalls from Fitzgerald Farms LLC.
We have a second, okay? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, we have the OSET equestrian team.
And I'm here, so kind of everybody can see me. Lisa McCarthy, 86061 South Bahana Road, Seaside. I am a Seaside advisor for the OSET team. We are doing our team differently this year. Last year we had Seaside, Warrenton, Astoria, Tillamook, and Napa. This year, we have a new head coach. She was the assistant coach last year, Barry Singh. He is the head coach this year. She is having an advisor for each school. So I will be the advisor to the liaison between Seaside School District and the OSET team. The OSET team is open to all Clatsop County students, whether you're homeschooled or not. So it's Oregon High School Equestrian Team. And they do various gaming events and performance events. Our district meets are February, March, and April in McMinnville, so we travel a lot. So we can have anywhere, I think we had roughly 15 kids last year. I think this year we have about 11. Some of those have multiple horses. We don't have a lot of arenas around here, the capacity to house that many kids at one time. To do drills, to do anything like that. Other school districts, other counties, they have arenas where they have private arenas that they can go to and they can do drill 3 times a week. We don't do that. We don't do drill team. That's just, we just don't have the kids numbers to do it anyways. But we are asking the board to donate the space for us to practice twice a month. At this time is what we're trying to get in. During the winter season, it's wet. You know, we're trying to somewhat keep these kids warm and dry. I'm gonna have the kids introduce who they are, how long they've been on the team, and what kind of events that they do. Go ahead, Katie.
Hi, my name's Keely Snyder. This is my second year in OSET and I do performance events. Oh, I'm from Wilmington. My name is Reagan Hartnett. This is my first year and I do gaming and I go to society. My name is Trinity Weber. I'm a senior. This is my 3rd year and I'm from Dual High School. My name's Kate Benny. I'm from Warrenton. This is my first year and I'm doing gaming. My name is Leah McCarthy. This is my 3rd year. I'm with Seaside and I do performance and gaming.
And we have the Astoria kids and they happen to all have an FFA meeting tonight.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
There's the senior, a freshman, 2 freshmen and a sophomore. That do performance and gaming.
Okay.
So what schools are you guys covering this year?
This year, Seaside,
Astoria and Warren.
So
Yeah.
what would be the expectation for prep, like for the facility?
It's really just the arena that's out there for the open ride. That is used, I believe Sundays and Tuesdays or something. That's all we really need is that space, that large of a space to be able to come and get the kids together. Where they can work on things, like 2-man bi-rental together.
Yeah.
Instead of one person just does it by themselves and then they hope that they can pass at the same time correctly. Just gives them a bigger space. Right now it's only scheduled for 2 times a month, I believe, on a Wednesday night.
And I think I would say probably at least having it drugged either the night before or the day of, for the safety of the kids and animals.
It was nicely drugged today. Yeah, it was nicely drugged today compared to last week. We really appreciated that in the ground today.
So the footing's good?
Yeah, we had a lot better footing.
Write that down now.
Well, right after the rodeo is kind of.
Yeah.
Cool. There was a lot of work.
Some of the problem right after the rodeo, because the footing was obviously really good for the rodeo, but when they were driving the semis and the
Yeah,
extended
exactly.
reach walk
Yeah.
on there afterwards, that was tough. Yeah, I would add, yeah, we have talked with them quite a bit already about dates, and I think the dates that we have so far, we've got a pretty good game plan. Granted, that can be subject to change if there were events that came up that we were like monster truck show, I don't know. How that will affect this or something else that might come up.
Yeah.
I would say like we will do our best to try to get the footing done, but we're not gonna guarantee necessarily that the footing will be perfect that particular day. Granted, there should be open ride the night before, so it should be at least recently ridden on. But you know, if I'm sick or Kelly's sick or something.
Yeah.
It just can't happen that way. It'll be probably one of the first things that gets done. There was some conversation if we could train a volunteer or something to do it. And then the others that we just asked that the groups use the outdoor restrooms, so we have less maintenance on the restrooms down there. Tracking mud inside here with a potential. Yeah, I think it's great that we have, love to see more horses as part of a fair and more kids that can use the event to practice and basically more horse participation building over the years.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be kind of just key is like you said, if there's events and stuff. Like, you gotta understand that's gonna take precedence over an open ride and maybe have to reschedule that, right? So just have to be flexible with everybody.
Absolutely.
And, same thing like Kyle said, that do the best to make sure the footing's good, but things happen around here, and so it might not happen, and so just something to consider.
And then just to add, I feel like I might be more on that side at
Yeah.
this moment, sorry.
That's okay.
But just to kind of give you guys an idea too, is when they practice and they have an arena, there can be no one else on horses around or in the arena. Which makes it also really difficult for them to find a place to go and ride, so.
Yeah, that's good to know.
So is this year round? Because don't we have the
So,
lower down April?
yeah, I think their last practice date,
So we can start practicing November 1st, and then our season goes all the way through the middle of June. Between state in May, and then regionals, which is between OSET and WASET, which is Washington, competing against each other. The top 5 from state go to that and compete for a regional title.
but
In
you,
April, outdoors down, so.
yeah, so you guys, I
I
think they have dates scheduled 2 days a month through March.
I believe.
Okay.
The practice date? Yeah.
How far do they go to?
March 26th.
Yeah.
On a Wednesday.
And it's a similar conversation, but not tied with this particular, but it is horse adjacent. This is some of the conversation we've been having about open rides, is that, really, there's no reason why anybody couldn't be able to come and open ride basically anytime during the day while we're here. Right now, we currently just have Tuesdays and Sundays, and then now Wednesday nights for this, but that's also more of the conversation about, having the footing ready. Like, if we're having more people come in and use it, and those other users that are coming in for open rides, we're paying $10 a day to ride. Like, so the more use we have, the more dollars we have to go towards dragging the arena.
Yeah.
The more it makes sense for us to keep it, more maintained.
Yeah, and the other thing, just for the other board members, is when we're talking about open ride, we have a group that comes in and is hosting an open ride event where people can bring in, obviously in this weather and stuff, not everyone has an indoor arena that they can ride in. So they will come in and pay $10 a horse. Some people have multiple horses they need to work, and so it gives them an option to have a really nice indoor facility to be able to use. So that's Sundays and Tuesdays, I believe, that the group hosts that.
And they're hosting that when we're not here. So at night, on the weekends, when there's no fairground staff, but Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m., there's no reason why we couldn't also be opening the doors while our staff is here to supervise their open rides. And it's something that a lot of fairgrounds are doing just as a revenue source to try to generate some income. So it's separate from this conversation, but
Yeah.
hopefully we're trying to get more use of that arena.
And so like, I think you can buy a pass.
Yeah.
To bring your horse in.
Yeah, like a monthly or.
A season pass.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
they do that.
another arena with the Jennings, like $150 a year, a family will pay to be able to come ride at certain times that you guys delegated.
Yeah. Okay, all right. You guys have anything else to add? You didn't bring cookies?
Probably less some cookies out there in the arena.
Oh, I'll wait for a couple weeks. Apples, yeah. All right, well. I need a motion, you can't.
I don't feel like I probably should make it. Sorry.
One of our new board members like to make a motion.
We're gonna make a motion to allow the group.
OSET group, to use facilities, twice a month. With, March 26th, without any cost, free of charge.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations, ladies. Be safe.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hey, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, and then, last item here on our business agenda is laundry facility. So it was brought to my attention that, we have our employees and employee spouses, leave names out of it, bringing laundry home from here, like all of our draperies, or not the coffee tables, but cocktail tables, tablecloths and all that kind of stuff, rags, towels, this kind of use items around here. They have to take them home on their own time and wash them, and take care of them with their own soap, own water, power and everything. And I think that's kind of ridiculous. I didn't even know that. It's not something that ever crossed my mind, right? So that's something that I think we need to change. I think we need to get something here set up for them to do that here locally. One, it's time, and two, it's the right thing to do for our employees. They don't need to be working off the clock. Salary, he's salary, it doesn't count, but no, it's the right thing to do. We need to take care of our employees, and it's kind of crazy that this place doesn't have a washer and dryer. And so I would like to we'd have to
Direct
budget.
us to do it.
What's that?
Direct them to do it.
Yeah, exactly. We'd have to pretty much approve Kyle up to a certain dollar amount to get a washer and dryer that's gonna be suitable to handle some stuff around here. And then it probably have to get a 220 outlet plumbed, probably over there somewhere in the janitor area. So I guess we can figure that out later.
You have to Kyle to find out where.
Yeah, Kyle would have to figure that out where it's gonna be best suited. But we have to allot some money to do that too, so.
Be interested in checking with at least like the electrical piece. We are coming up on wanting some fair boards out in the arena and maybe doing some swapping, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's definitely needed.
Yeah,
That's a good idea.
We could definitely work to try to get somebody to do something kind. We want to make sure it's clear that your arena fee is for this many years.
Yeah.
Something like that, but.
Yeah.
Not
Those are good
indefinitely.
opportunities for an in-kind. I know that there was some concern in the past about some horse trading, but I think if it's very clearly defined what your in-kind service is.
I think, yeah, if you do
It's an
an
opportunity.
agreement,
Yeah.
then
I saw it as a first rate.
Right. I mean, there was, rumors about all kinds of crazy stuff, things that happen. We're trying our best to make sure things are above the.
Yeah, those things didn't happen here, though. They happened behind the scenes.
correct.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't think we need to vote on that tonight or anything like that, but I would like Kyle to look into that and kind of give us an estimate, or if we just wanted to approve up to $5,000 for a washer and dryer and then go from there. That's
That'd
fine.
be everything, the electrical, everything.
I'd be willing to reach out to a couple people and just see what they'd be willing to do and what we could work with.
I can do that too.
Yeah, you never know, we could even.
Do you wanna,
Depending on, like I saw at the shoots, like they have, like in their rooms, they have TVs and under the TV it says
yeah,
donated by the TV center.
Yeah.
Or something like that. I don't know where you put dryer, washer. dryer.
yeah, like we're probably not gonna see those signs, but Joel, would you wanna take on the electrical piece or do you,
Yeah, I mean, we share
Yeah.
a shop with Wallace Electric. so-
Yeah. if you wanna do that, I can do the, see if Paul wants to do anything.
Okay, I was gonna say I'd go in there periodically, but
Yeah.
if you know them, that's all the better.
And, I just add like, I identified that early on as well. It's like, there's no, like, the first week, like, there's no washer and dryer. I don't know how many different places I've worked in that, like, there's no washer and dryer. This is crazy. And
Yeah.
it's on the wish list of things to do. It's been lower on the priority.
Yeah.
I get it. It's not a huge deal to be to go and wash
My wife was livid.
But eventually the goal would be. to
It's not
have
just some towels,
something-
it's nothing to make all these stuff.
Right, and we've done some laundromat trips, but it's super unproductive to go
Yeah.
down to the laundry.
Got it.
Yep.
Yeah, then you're wasting your time sitting there doing that instead of being able to put a load in and then go do something else. So,
At least you had something
you're
to
just-
say.
Oh, I was just gonna say, just thinking about how large linens are and things of a commercial grade as opposed to a residential.
Yeah.
So be it.
What would you wanna offer someone that would do, I have no idea what it would cost, let's say it was. $2,000 to run, I don't know how far the circuit breakers are from that area or whatever, but like, what would we offer them? I don't even know what the rates are for boards and stuff.
Yeah,
I think we'd have to kind of see how much it's gonna cost and then kind of figure out what we'd be willing to do.
I don't recall if we went to 500 on the boards or was it 250?
It's 250.
250 per board per year, which
And
is
what size?
darn cheap.
Yeah,
It's
that's,
4x8.
That's 4x8, okay.
But it's cheap.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's darn cheap, yeah, that was the conversation we talked about last year, and we went from 200 to 250 without trying to do a large jump at once, but I think we would work on, and we're right there, we need to advertise for those renewals. And expansion, I think there's a heck of a lot more wall space out there, we can sell a lot more sponsorships.
Let me get this straight, $250 and the board goes up on all the events.
It's always up, yeah.
full year, right?
I get more than that from sponsors to posters to one event.
Yeah,
I'm
people,
just saying.
yeah,
$300
$300
up there for
$350 put your banner in an arena
I know.
just for that event.
There are some events where they get covered,
Why?
but for the most part, they're always up. I don't know, that's a good question, that's, whole sponsorship program is something we've been working on. Developing, we've figured certain things out, like the LUMS thing was a custom sponsorship, which is kind of came together because it was what they were willing to do. But it could be anything from concert tickets, rodeo tickets, signs and banners, or could be anything.
That's a head scratcher.
Okay, well, if we wanna wait, that's fine, until we get a little more information, figure out what it's gonna cost for the washer and dryer. Doesn't matter to me, but I think it's something that needs to be at least in the works.
Certain, come back with the project.
Okay. All right, financial report real quick.
Yes, this is the breakdown that we get each month from the finance director. What I was doing was giving an expense report and a revenue report that had the budget amounts on there, but I realize now. The actual budget amounts are not on this report, so, this is kind of a year to date through, should have been through September, but since our meeting got postponed, we actually got updated. Usually we'll do not the prior month, but the month, 2 months ago at the meeting, because our meeting's being first Tuesday of each month. It's not really enough time to get a finance report from the finance director in time for our meetings. This month particularly, we were able to get October's, but I think early January, I would like to sit down with the full budget with you guys and. There's a lot to the budget, and this doesn't really give you a full picture on what we budgeted for, but it lets you know what we spent. And if you're also interested, it's on the county's site here. Page 476 is where it starts. And it's here on budgeted finance.
What do you mean you would review just want to get an idea of kind of what level of detail you envision going through and kind of what you're looking for from us in the January meeting?
I'm just looking more to train you guys on what the budget looks like.
Okay.
And, explaining what each of the line items are for, because we'll have to be rolling into building the 2026 budget in early February. We'll get the calendar from the finance director soon, but we'll have to have like our proposed budget probably in February to the county manager's office. All of our budget goes through the county's budget. It's not.
Would you be able to prep probably the first year with like a write-up, so we can just refer to that and you can primarily speak to the numbers unless there's something.
Yeah, I can work on that. That's what I had in Warrenton I would do, and it would explain what each of the lines. That would probably be really helpful for us to like retool. I think we're at a point now where a lot of these line items in this budget are kind of funky and it makes it hard to fit some of the stuff in. And it'd be a good opportunity now for us, now that I've been through 2 budgets with you all, that to try to readjust how some of this looks. It'll make next year's budget look different. Last year for this year, but some of the challenges that we've seen, it's like now we're doing this rodeo and we have all this revenue and booth feed and stuff. And it's like, where do we account for that? That's when our budget never really had those. It's like, it's going into the fair revenue. So now the fair looks like it was more profitable than it was. There's other little things like that, that I think we're in a spot where it'd be nice to do. It takes 12 years to figure that out. Yeah, going through what these lines are. I was like, what is maintenance SIG? It took me 5 times to figure out what it was, but it's structures, improvements and grounds. And it's something that the county is just an acronym that the county uses. Like, okay, SIG it is. But yeah, I'll get you something that has the actual budgeted amounts for each of these lines.
And maybe note if it's like something's in there that you think shouldn't be, where you said rodeo was under fair,
Yeah.
that kind of thing, that would probably be helpful.
And some of the way the county has done stuff and we're unique. We're not like, really not like any other department in the county because we are a revenue driver that's different than them. And we're also getting sponsorships and we're making deals that all are incorporated into our budget, which doesn't really fit how they do stuff. Like, everything is a service for us. We're hiring a performer, it's technically a service, and they're thinking of services as engineers and consultants, and we're thinking of basically every single thing that we do is. Except for our utility bills. There's a lot to go over with the budget. I'm happy to spend one-on-one time with you all to go through it. Also, really right on the edge of going to our new budget anyways.
Yeah.
Be doing a brief audit and then jumping right into building.
Okay. Anything for the good of the order? You guys can bring up anything that you'd like to discuss real quick.
I've been curious about the property lines. I should have looked it up myself, but my understanding of what kind of it. My understanding is, we can use property a ways on up. Wasn't there gonna be like a fire path or something put in years ago anyways? I was just wondering how far up there is that, and is there any flat land or anything to use? Or is it zoned in properly, or as opposed to trying to use swamp land down there?
There's a little bit of property up there. Whatever is forested has to be approved by the county board to clear any timber. There was some discussion about, I think they were talking about doing a parking lot up there in the past.
Okay. Oh, no, I think it was, it's a bypass. I don't remember, but it was, so you don't have to go. So that the only way to Napa would be through Astoria, if they were back on. I don't remember.
And
Yeah.
here's what public works director was talking about when he called me, because I don't know where you're going.
Yeah, that's gonna go right there.
Yeah.
That's, I think that's gone.
Oh, yeah, I know that's gone, but it included, I believe, some land that's way up there that I was like, I didn't even know that we had that.
Yeah, so if you look, it actually goes on Onyx here, it actually goes a significant amount into the timber. Right up along the state
Yeah.
forestry there.
Which is perfect.
Yeah, and it goes way up into the timber, and there's quite a bit of flat land up there.
That's what I was
That's
curious
usable.
about.
But like Kyle said, if we were to use any of that, we have to get approval from the county to log it
Sure.
and then go through all that, but.
Which I think they had done some of that work before. There was some logging that had been done that they didn't get approval on, and the county attorney was. I just sent my third word a letter out at one point.
Yeah.
But when I started that building over there has a whole basement. And in that basement was filled with boxes and boxes of records. I've sorted through some of them and found some clues on stuff, but there just hasn't been time to really sort through a lot of the stuff. The record keeping that was done here in the past, I don't know what kind of system they had. We're slowly going through it and we find little clues about things from time to time, but there's probably a file in there somewhere that talks about it, that at some point maybe I'll have a little bit better understanding, but I don't know much about that particular project.
So Gail, her name's Gail, right?
Yeah.
She's coming in 2 weeks, next meeting. Would she be one that, ask about that? That's probably.
She would be, and I can give her kind of a heads up that you're interested in some
I'm just curious.
Talking
It'd
about
be
that
nice to
upper
know, like,
area.
are we gonna waste our money putting $1 million in the bill down there? If we can make money logging the trees off the, like Bruce was saying.
Right.
Put stuff up there, not worry about people.
I'm not sure if we would make the money from the trees.
No, I know that.
But it
It
might,
would entice the county to be like, oh yeah, we could log that and make some money, or, you know, what I mean, and say, yeah, then you guys can use it.
yeah,
Bruce, we got.
so very good.
Kyle, we have 4 wireless mics,
We have, that's an 8 channel, and then we have another.
so we have 12.
Yeah.
So we could put, for the cost of little bitty mic stands, we
We
put a mic
we
in front of
have
every
mic
one of
stands.
us,
Yeah.
right
very
there,
good.
and one more right there for public, and I think it, for the price of some little mic stands.
Yeah.
We've already got the gear. And I'll come early and set it up, that's not a problem.
Yeah, I think
I'm
it's
sorry.
worth, we give it another shot. We
Yeah.
tried it for a few meetings and it didn't seem like.
I thought it was just weird. It was weird and awkward. It was just like. But
Well, there you go.
Having a mic.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, everybody would have to use it, whether they want to or not, and the public, we have to be able to say, speak in the mic, don't, you know, but that's what, Seaside's done.
Yeah.
You know, it's just calm.
that's good.
And we've already got the gear.
And the problem is that the gear isn't very good. We can, we
It's
can find
inexpensive.
out.
Now is a wonderful time, but it's so inexpensive, but, I will price some little mic stands and one mic stand for you.
Before we leave, I'll show you.
Okay.
Anything else for the good of the order?
Yeah, just a quick introduction, let you folks put faces with names. This is Alan Sprague, and I'm Dallas Cook. He's the president, I'm the secretary of the Lower Columbia Radio Control Club that uses the lower field down here.
Okay.
And just simply so you know who we are and whatever. Been down there since 2012. And I would say that Kyle is, you know, that's on the back.
Here we are.
Right there, yeah. And we provide each year with the Fair Board. Kyle has it, the evidence of insurance from the American Bible Association, $1 million. Well, per incident, 2.5 total. As far as liability, the fairgrounds listed as insured on the national organization. We have free approval because that field and ways beyond is in the
Flight path.
the flight path for Astoria Airport. And we comply with all of the federal regs that way. And so as we truck on down the road, we certainly do appreciate you guys letting us be down there.
Very much.
It's normally a case of, you know, oh, they make too much noise, get out of there, whatever. And this, I mean, we do our best to take care of the geese and the elk.
And the ball.
But anyway, won't keep you any longer.
Thank you so much for coming.
I have a question, I guess, probably geared mostly toward Mallory on this one. I don't know, depending on the horses, but, so I remember when I was in horse 4-H, I think we used the arena outside, right?
Yeah.
How come nobody uses, how come, like, for example, that other OSET, how come they don't use that?
So when they're coming in to do like practice right now, they're using it when it's dark, cold, wind, rain.
But
It's,
I meant like, while the other floor's down, or when there's a lot of more events in here, that's something we can offer them so they can still do their practice.
so they can, unfortunately, it's not big enough.
Okay.
For,
That's-
yeah, for the pattern, for certain patterns and stuff like that, so.
Occasionally groups will come in. Some of the individual 4-H clubs will come in occasionally and use it. On the weekend, like they're just, they get into the gate, they're in there, they're not in. That's happened several times. Kind of lump it into the 4-H use for them being able to do it, but they know if there's something happening. We're not necessarily gonna drag it for them.
Sure.
For particular, yeah. Yeah, that building's kind of a little weird. The sections that they chose to sign in. There's no spectating, it's basically just full practice.
One other side note before you adjourn. We had an incident down there over a year ago where we had an individual that was flying. He had a heart attack, we didn't realize. As he left, he made it about as far as Divey Lane, ended up basically out there in the bay where he succumbed to his injuries, his heart problems. And it dawned on us that this road right there, how do you tell the ambulance people where you're at? If it had been required. And I went to medics and I said, if I tell you Clatsop County Fairgrounds, what do you register? She brought up a Google Maps right here and points to the fair complex. And I said, well, what about this? Pointed to the road, and she said, we didn't even know that existed. I went to Terry Hendricks and asked him if there was any way that could be marked with a number, whatever. And he said, no, it comes off of a state highway. And because 202, the state would have to designate that road with a number or a name. And Terry goes, the gymnastics are beyond what you even want to do. I went back to medics and took the bull by the tail and faced the situation and told them, I said, let's do this. That road, how about we call it the Clatsop County Fairgrounds Dike Access Road? So if something goes on down there, medics won't show up here and look around going, well, this is just, whatever. And so medics at least, and I told Terry also, that is referred to as the Fairgrounds Dike Access Road. Unless you folks choose to call it something else, and then we'll adjust and go from there.
No, I think that's great. Yeah, thank you so much for doing that.
Yeah, really, from my experience working with the local fire department is usually your best course, because the fire department shows up first.
Yeah, that was what medics said, is the fire department will probably show up.
Yeah.
Okay.
The only thing I would add is that, sorry for this meeting being so long. There's a lot to go over, and we still have even more that we probably could have talked about. But I am happy to meet with any of you guys anytime you're available. I can come to you, or we can come to the office, or we can do a Zoom call, or a phone call, or whatever, anytime you'd like to talk more about the stuff we have going on. Looking forward to you guys all as a team.
All right, we're adjourned. Thank you, Kyle.